everybody. Welcome to Live from the Apocalypse. If you have not caught us before, we are a tabletop role-playing game channel that plays games to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations and good things like that. We make podcasts and streams and all of the things that you might expect not-for-profit TTRPG studio to make. We are currently raising money for the First Nations Development Institute, which is a fantastic nonprofit that seeks to restore economic independence to Indigenous communities across the United States. So, we do things a little bit differently than a lot of channels around here. If you like what you see, we just ask that instead of subscribing or dropping bits or any of the normal Twitch things where Big Daddy Bezos will take at least 50% of it, if not more, you instead take the $5 or the $6.
Gonna kill that dog.
I'll wait.
He's the bad guy. You.
I'm all the bad guys.
That is relevant. Thank you for subscribing, Captain Bruce, whoever you might be.
Whoever you might be.
Whoever you
Person
could
who
possibly
uses their
suspect.
freebie Prime subscribe.
Anonymous donor, anonymous subscriber, rather.
Anonymous subscriber.
On screen when I'm gonna get that killing the dogs react.
So instead of doing that, what you can
Instead of doing that, do what we say, not what we do.
You can take the $5 or the $6 or whatever you can spare. There is no expectation, and put ! donate in the chat. The bot will post the link.
That hurts. In the chat, they've already said least favorite child.
It's the vibes. But to be fair, they can be referring to any of you.
Disappointments.
Least favorite child.
It might be
It's a race to the bottom in this game, let's be honest.
You don't
One
have
of us
much
doesn't even have the same last name. At least one of us.
Two of you
Yeah.
technically.
There's two Madigans, three Madigans.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got the name, so at least you're in at least mid-tier.
But the bad part is the fact that I do have the name, and therefore it sucks that I'm not good.
Sure does.
It sure does.
So
I suppose we could let Will actually get to...
Whatever. It's no big deal. If you donate, the McAvoy brothers will interrupt. They will yell at us. This is a very dramatic and serious game, as you can probably tell. Those are very much the vibes that we're bringing tonight. And that will throw us off base. We'll have to regroup and come back, and that will probably be me doing that for the most part. If you'd like to see that, then you can donate. If you would like to subscribe, we literally cannot stop you. That is not a feature we are allowed to turn off by Twitch. Just be aware that if you do that, Friendly Mulligan will kill one dog for every month that you've been subscribed to our channel. He is a monster. He is still at large in the greater metropolitan area. He must be apprehended.
Some of us have been doing this for 14 months.
It's true.
He's still at large.
He's the real monster, though. I think we can all agree. I think that's most of the housekeeping, probably. There are channel points and things like that. Feel free to do that. Closed captioning. We're doing different closed captioning now. There's a little button on your view screen in the bottom corner. If you hit that, you should be able to see captions, and there are settings that you can change if you click the little gear. And with all of that being said...
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
With all that being said, I think we can probably begin our introductions. Do this. Hi, my name is Will. I am the storyteller of this game, and I will be telling you the story and telling people what to roll when they have to roll things, and compelling them because this is fate. So if they want those fate points, they're going to have to make some decisions. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm the storyteller. There's a social media handle right there. But yeah, that's mostly what I'm doing. And if we'll go on the order on the screen, Joe, you would be next. If you are ready.
Yes. Do you want me to introduce myself as my character, or?
You can introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your character as well.
Yes. Hey, I'm Joe Gates. I am a Philly local. I've been doing improv for a number of years here, theater and Ren fairs, and you name it. If you have to make things up, I've probably been a part of it. And I will be playing Noctis Duskfell, and he is a he's the oldest of the Madigans, if you took that last name. And he is a changeling of the Autumn Court, and he's just trying to put everything back together. And he's tall. I think we agreed we're like around 6'3", right, bro?
6'3".
Oh, yeah, y'all tall.
Tall, like kind of tan. His eyes are fully black, with a startling, like autumn yellow irises that brim with the intense curiosity the way a thunderstorm does with lightning. And he has a long, trenchish coat. It's a nice coat. Seems black, and then the interior seems to like rustle with like an autumn breeze. And occasionally, you'll see like a leaf come out or something. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joe. Liz, you're next.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Liz. Really, things I do is stream with the channel on a couple of different shows. Missing Numbers is the one that recurs, and then I've run a couple of different ones. There's one coming up, but I don't think we've officially announced it yet, so I'll save on that one. But it's just coming towards the end of the month and should be really fun. I am playing Ravenna Wraith. She is a White Court vampire who is kind of interested in trying to rebuild bonds with her siblings and potentially having family after a about decade-long, pretty messy spiral that she is coming out of and finally getting back to a healthy place again. She's not fond of Dad. She's not fond of the White Court. Her siblings are about the only people that remotely are blood-related that she might be able to tolerate. So she's going to see how that goes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Liz. Rouge, you want to tell us about Lexi?
Indeed. So Lexi is the one of the children who actually took her father's name. She came from his first actual marriage, and she was a disappointment in that she is incredibly normal and unimportant and not that powerful, and kind of at this point, in order to live her life, is passing as a mortal. Like, that's how much she did not follow in her father's footsteps. So that said, she absolutely has decided to make the best of everything. She has just accepted that everybody was just doing their best with what they had available. And so the fact that her father named her after himself, and her actual name is Alexandra Madigan, after her father, Alexander Madigan, and yet he absolutely rejected her as a child and spent most of his time trying to avoid her whenever possible. Absolutely, it's just like he had his own trauma that he was dealing with at the time. And, people are just going to do what they can with what they have. And then, as far as me, Rouge the player, obviously people have seen me here before. I play here on Live from the Apocalypse. Otherwise, I don't do a lot online, but you can find me with my adult comedy a cappella group, the Misbehaving Maidens. I don't know what else to say to describe that. It's a weird niche group, but we are online. If you search for the Misbehaving Maidens, you can find us on anywhere you stream music, and we'll be doing a few live performances, I think, this year, but that's me.
Hell yeah. Victoria?
Hi. I am not heavily online except for here on Live from the Apocalypse, but hi, I'm Victoria. And I am playing Leah Madigan. Leah was an unintentional, later in life creation that is the youngest, we think, at least, of the Madigan children.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, right? How are you supposed to keep track of these things?
Dad was prolific.
Yeah. There's evidence he gets around. Or got around.
Don't speak ill of the dead.
We're going to push that one today. I'm sorry.
Leah was not a apple of her dad's eye until she came into not just powers, but like promising full-blown wizard powers. So like his responsibility to like, do right by her and her mother to make sure that she was like fed was there. But once she started to exhibit the potential to be a real scion, that's when they actually started to spend time together. And unsurprisingly, she's probably the rosiest of the kids in terms of thinking of her dad and where their relationship could have gone if like we'd had enough time together. And she is, I wrote this for Joe because I wanted to make sure that I was describing Leah's eyes for you all, because that helps. So Leah, like I said, is the youngest. She has warm brown, wide, expressive eyes that like fold up into half moons when she smiles and laughs, and they pick up colors around her. She's got slightly growing out neon yellow dyed hair that's like down to her chin. It is always a mess. And she intentionally is always brightly and ostentatiously colored. Though being that we're going to be at a funeral, there's black, but like maybe we've got some like rainbow striped tights underneath it. So yes,
that's right. We missed physical descriptions up until now. Should we go back and like touch on some of them?
I wrote the one about the eyes for Joe. Okay,
that ship sailed. You missed out.
We got a couple physical descriptions in there, but we'll circle back.
Yeah. So that's Leah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Irish. You've probably seen me on Veil Breakers if you watch it. That's the only thing I've done with this group so far, but they're old friends. I'm going to be playing Chaz Madigan, who is the younger twin brother of our illustrious leader Noctis, and kind of the opposite. If there are any Loch Tomb fans, I am that twin. He's identical twins, but look very, very different. Chaz is pale, dark hair, short beard. He has very guarded green eyes. He absolutely wants you to think he does not care and is not bothered by any of this, I swear.
He's a big softy.
Yeah. Well, Noctis was the prince of the Autumn Fae and his mother's pride and joy. Chaz was the other one that was born. And I guess we'll just give them to Dad. And Dad did not have children and did not want them. And so Chaz grew up unwanted, ended up on the streets, suddenly is now a member of the underground war on the streets against the Spring Fae because they actually wanted him around. That was kind of nice. But he has a huge soft spot for these asshole siblings of his that he's going to take care of, even if it kills him. But the fact that Dad died is, he really wants to say he's happy about it. We'll just leave it at that.
He'll tell people he's happy about it. Just ignore the tear that's like springing in his eye.
I think he has very closely guarded green eyes.
Oh, yes, closely.
All right.
Yeah,
perfect.
so getting back to it, because I didn't describe my eyes. Lexi has very, I would say, warm, bright, friendly, like brown eyes that seem like they are very much like looking for the best in everything. One would almost call them rose-colored, except that they're not rosy at all.
Fantastic.
That is some furious typing from...
Amazing. Liz, do you want to do your eyes?
Yeah. I realized I forgot to describe Ravenna's looks entirely. So, Ravenna has like very, very pale skin, as traditional for like a white court vampire. Long black hair that goes down to a little bit past her shoulders. And her eyes are like a silverish, a light silverish gray. And most of the time they look both kind of like playful, but in a like playful, like very attractive way, like a person who's like kind of flirting with you in a way that throws you off. But caught at the right time, they shift into a very like predatory, like intense look. But she hides that and will like blink that away really quickly and go back to her kind of aloof, playful look to her eyes. She also has a large Black Widow tattoo on her shoulder and a smaller butterfly wing tattoo next to her eye. If anyone's paying close enough attention, the Black Widow tattoo would look significantly older, and the butterfly wing tattoo would look much more recent.
Mm.
A remnant from when she was really into the MCU.
Right.
Amazing. Well, this is a very colorful cast of characters. And with that being said, I think we're going to dive on into our story for this evening. A little bit of preface on this. If you've not played the Dresden Files TTRPG system before, it is based on the system Fate, the Fate engine. As a result, you may things may seem a little unusual if you're mostly used to like D&D or even Powered by the Apocalypse or something like that. It's a fairly different system. The main thing is that the main thing to be aware of, I would say, is that I can compel these characters to do things. I can offer them fate points in exchange for them playing to a certain aspect of their characters. They have the option to reject me, but if they decide to do that, they have to give me a fate point. So there's an economy there. An economy. There's an economy going on here.
It is an economy.
An in-economy and an out-economy.
It's true.
Yes.
Some of us who have less actual powers to draw on have more ability to be like,
That is true.
Make it hurt.
That is extremely true. So you may see me pausing to consider this list of aspects that is in front of me. I may ask everybody to hold for a second before they move on with the story while I decide if there's a compel I would like to make, but it is all in the name of continuing the story. So just something to put out there, a little bit of a disclaimer. With all that being said, I think we're going to dive in and join our story in progress here at Live from the Apocalypse. This is the Madigans.
Cue theme music.
I did just
You
start
get
playing the
theme
music,
music?
actually.
Like, yeah,
Nice.
totally where this would go. Okay.
Fantastic. So what we open on, the first thing we see is a hill. And the hill is in a graveyard, obviously. Very obviously. There are people gathered here on this hilltop. There's only one tree, which is barren of leaves. Nothing grows from it. The assembled people are dressed in finery, suits, dresses, all of them black.
What a lovely day!
What a time to get raided. Thanks so much.
thanks for
Lost
joining us as we
Caravan.
attend this funeral.
Absolutely, yeah. Welcome to the funeral. Things are going great here. I always say if you start a game with a funeral, there's nowhere to go but up.
Yes.
Especially if you didn't like the person who died. Oh, wait, it's our dad. Oh.
Awkward.
Unchanged. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said what I said. No, I actually liked my dad. That I'm standing by that statement.
Welcome on in, Raiders. Thank you so much for joining us. We're starting a new game tonight. It's called the Madigans. All of our players are siblings. We have gotten maybe 5 minutes in to the story, but we are going to dive back on in. Thank you again for joining us. So, the people that are gathered here, wearing suits, wearing long black dresses, clearly symbols of mourning, are somber, as would be appropriate. There is a casket. It is currently closed, and it sits above a grave. A man stands in front of it, but he is not a priest. He does not wear the raiments of a member of any clergy, any religion. Instead, he is dressed very plainly, much like everybody else gathered here, in a black suit, a black tie. But over that, strangely enough, he wears a gray cloak with a hood pulled up, somewhat obscuring his face. And he begins to speak. He raises his hand slightly and says to the gathered assembly, "We come together today to honor a great man, a man who lived more than anyone should have the good fortune to. A man who never shied away from facing the darkness before him, from confronting the things that would hurt others. Never backed down from a challenge. Perhaps not even when he should have." And I think as he speaks, we are going to find in the crowd one figure. Joe, where is Noctis? Are you sitting with everybody else? Are you standing off alone?
I think you're on mute.
Oh, yes, I think you are muted.
Thank you. It had to happen once.
Yep,
Glad to break the seal.
Gotta check the box on the bingo card. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Noctis, if all of the guests are seated and not standing, is it raining?
It
Of
feels
course
like it's
it is.
raining.
Of
course. Yeah.
Is it actually raining or does it actually?
It's misting and foggy and
like
spitting rain in that really
So it
inconvenient
feels
way.
like it, but it's not like actively raining.
Yeah, like the
Right.
ground is soggy when you step on it. It's mushy, but like
It's a raining
know.
aesthetic.
yes.
Is it? What season is it?
It feels only appropriate that it be autumn.
Yes.
Of course.
I think he's going to sit with everybody else. He sits if all the other all of his other siblings are sitting in the back, he will sit in the back. If they're sitting in the front, he'll sit in the front. I imagine we're all sitting. Rouge, it looked like you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I think that's a big ask to assume that all of the siblings are sitting in the same spot of the funeral.
I think we can probably safely say Noctis would have endeavored to make that happen. But
Would have tried
as
to
we
make it
get to-
happen, but I think we're going to find out that not everybody tried to sit in the same spot.
As we get around to everybody else, we'll see how that shook out.
He's sitting next to his brother, wherever he is seated. I'm assuming in the back.
I was going to say that Chaz is not sitting. He is standing and he's trying to look aloof, but he is absolutely standing next to his siblings.
Okay. He then Noctis is sitting as his younger brother stands. And,
maybe standing like at the end of the front row. Like, I'm here, but I'm also not here.
Mhm.
Absolutely it, yeah.
kind of standing out of disrespect. Noctis kind of looks at his brother and just kind of like points, but like offers the seat next to him, and I'm assuming he does not take it. So he kind of like sighs and just like adjusts his coat a little bit and just like twirls his mustache a bit. He is very focused and stoic.
And I think as we pan over and zoom in on Noctis Darkfell, we're going to the funeral in the hill is going to sort of dissolve and leave us elsewhere. A place where everything is just a little bit off. A forest, I imagine, but it is autumn here. But it is the most autumn. The colors of everything, the colors of the leaves as they are slowly falling off of the tree, never fully seeming to reach the ground, are incredibly saturated. The oranges and the reds and the browns are unfaded and untouched by decay or entropy. And in this wood, there is a clearing. And in the center of that clearing, there is a throne. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, Joe, but do you have an idea of what that throne might look like?
Absolutely. It looks like it is, if you think of the skeletal branches that you begin to see at the end of fall, just as winter starts to hit. It is very much just kind of like made of almost naturally shaped skeletal branches of brown and black. However, like cresting, like the top of the actual throne itself, there's a riot of colors, like you were describing. And occasionally, like, like a leaf will blow off, but it will never seem to diminish the actual number of leaves on the top. I believe um, the armrests have these big fire opals, like on the very, very end, the size of a child's skull, basically. And you can see copper veins, almost kind of like twisting throughout most of the chair, and almost like its own kind of path and pattern.
Incredible. The chair, sits there, more or less eternal.
Mhm.
And Noctis, do you ever sit upon it, do you think?
I think he has only a few times when he has been uh, summoned here, not exactly knowing where he was going, but like has found himself entering the clearing. So I would say he's done it at least twice in his lifetime. But he has been in this room, if you were to call it one, rather often.
Okay. I imagine that you have probably just returned here,
Mhm.
and it has maybe been some time. You've been off attending to other matters, maybe looking in on your family, or maybe trying to see to the eventual resurrection of the Autumn Court of the Fae. But as you approach the clearing this time, you immediately can tell something feels different. Something feels off. Even though it is perpetually autumn here in your seat of power, the sun, the light from a sun, if such a thing exists here, is always at that golden hour, right between day and night, where the light is the most flattering, as I think we all are familiar with.
Absolutely.
It's that very gentle sort of golden light, the last light of the day before it goes dark. But today, as you enter, the sky grows overcast. It is dark and it is gray, and it begins to rain. And you feel the raindrops sort of splashing down on you. A few of them, they start running down your face in these little sort of rivers and like tributaries. You feel yourself getting wet as you kind of stand there. This has never happened before. As it reaches your mouth. Do you have a question? You look like you have a question. Sorry.
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
Base-
But as it reaches
baseball.
your mouth, you realize that this rain is it's salty. You realize that these are tears, and somehow you know something has happened somewhere. You know that someone you care about is gone.
I believe Noctis would wipe his face and just kind of like pull almost like if you didn't see it before, it is there now. Like brings a hood that wasn't there up over his head, and I imagine
Yeah,
he
just
tries to
fucking
think
grip it and rip it,
about who
baby.
may have died
Slop
recently.
that down, dude.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Crack one for the big boy.
Thank you so much for the donation, OBX Geek. We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I believe he kind of like almost like immediately moves over to the throne and just kind of stands beside it and puts his hand on one of the fire opals, and he starts thinking through, almost like he's calculating like an internal Rolodex, and tries to like look around for signs that the Never Never might show him, especially in this seat of power.
Absolutely. You look for a sign. I think I would you look for a sign. And what you see as you look around is something approaching you, actually approaching the clearing from out of the woods that's around you. This is, you start to get a better look at it as it approaches. It's kind of hard with the rain running into your eyes, even with the hood up. You realize that what this is it is a stag.
Mm.
It is a large, powerful stag with enormous antlers. And from head to toe, it is this sort of rich, reddish color, darker than your own hair.
Mm.
The coloration is kind of unmistakably the hue of your father's beard. Kind of approaches you gently.
He like catches his breath, which he like internally kind of chastises himself for, and then like holds out his hand as if he was going to like feed the stag, and like kind of beckons for it to approach.
It does so, still slowly. As it reaches you, it lowers its head, kind of like snuffles at your hand, and it's not, intrinsically that it is not being timid. It is mourning with you. It is trying to console you. It is sad.
He grits his teeth and then like finally finds his voice, and he looks into its eyes if he can, and he says, "He's gone." Or I think he less of a question. He would say it declaratively. He's like, "It's finally happened. He's gone."
The stag does not reply in any meaningful way, but
Mm.
it does close its eyes briefly
Mm.
before opening them again.
Noctis feels like the rising kind of like shock, and then like the fury that he has. Like he's like immediately thinks like one more thing to do almost, and then he like stops himself, and he sees that he's alone with the stag, and he puts his arms around it if it lets him, and he allows himself to mourn and says, "Let me just get this out now. Steel myself for later."
Okay. And we will leave that moment with Noctis, arms sort of draped around this mighty stag as it sort of stoically stands there. We'll fade back to the funeral and the hill, where the man in the cloak continues speaking. And he says, I knew Alexander better than most for a very long time. And he wasn't perfect. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. He made mistakes. But he always tried. He always did his best. And we find ourselves drifting once again to the second oldest Madigan child, who I believe, Chris, you said is standing, not sitting. You already painted a very effective picture with that, I think. So arms crossed, kind of standing there. Very
He
stoically.
is not wearing a suit like a lot of the other people. He is wearing all black, but it's definitely a leather coat over the top.
Very cool. Very cool. And I think as you take in these words, how does Chaz feel about this this eulogy? About how he always tried his best.
He is very much trying to look like he does not care and he doesn't even need to be here. This is not a big deal at all, and he's very upset.
Absolutely. And we are going to drift back again in time away from the funeral to, I think, a very, very different scene than the autumnal garden in the woods. I think we are going to drift down to a city, a very busy, sort of bustling and alive city, but at this particular moment in time, it is the dead of night, and it is fairly quiet, especially considering that we are kind of removed. We can see the buildings and the lights of the city glittering, but where we are standing, we smell this sort of brackish, salty water on the breeze. There are these large looming warehouses.
Yeah, Justin, fucking grip it and rip it, baby. Slop
second.
that down, dude. Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
Thank you for the donation.
Yay! Okay,
everybody say thanks. Thanks, Will's mom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will's mom. I was muted. I had to make sure I got it on.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Will's mom. Okay.
So yeah, we are on the docks of a city, maybe the city, maybe not this city, but
the grand big city of Uncertainamere.
Exactly. It is the dead of night. It is quiet. It is suddenly less quiet as the sound as gunfire erupts, as we hear the sound of gunfire and the sounds of violence breaking out, cries of pain and surprise and fear, even. The footsteps of somebody running echo across the empty warehouses and the alleys in between them. A very panicked looking man runs into view, wearing a denim jacket with a denim jacket that is clearly made for cold weather. It's like kind of a black cap on his head. He also appears to be bleeding and kind of holding a wound at his side as he runs. And I think almost casually at first, I imagine, in very unhurried pursuit after him, we would see the same person. We would see Chaz Madigan kind of stepping out. This is not a challenging situation for you by any means, so I don't think we really need to roll. But Chaz, this person who is trying to get away from you, how would you stop them?
How would he stop them? He would definitely be stalking them, whether they knew it or not. And as soon as he had the chance, there would be a knife thrown to stop the man from getting away.
Amazing.
And then he would get up close and finish it.
Perfect. Yeah. So
emotionlessly, actually, like, this is a job, and I'm trying to get something done, and I don't care who you are. You were on the other side.
It's true. And he this person, as he's trying to run away, this other very unhurried figure chasing after him. Think your hand flickers. There's maybe a glint of metal flying through the air, and then the person fleeing from you is sort of pitched forward, hits the ground with a knife sticking out of his shoulder, or maybe like dead center out of his back. Not dead, not by any means, but he doesn't look like he's going to be running anywhere anytime soon. And you can kind of, make your way up to him. As you do so, he will turn to the best of his ability, probably crying out in pain in the process. But he will look at you with these sort of wide, terrified eyes. They're this surprisingly clear blue color. But the terror in them, how wide they are, just makes that kind of all the more startling. And in a panicked voice, he's going to say, look, man, like, you don't have to do this. I'll just walk away. You got everybody else. You can just let me go. I'm nobody.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do I know the kid he's in my city?
No.
I do not.
You don't. Okay. This was just a job, like you said.
Okay. Did he hurt anybody else tonight? This was fighting. There was a lot of fighting, and he's bleeding.
There was a lot of fighting. I don't think he had the chance, honestly. I think what probably happened was this was some kind of a weapons shipment, is what I'm going to say. And so they were unloading these crates in the dead of night, and you had basically been, hired or assigned to stop that from happening, to intercept that shipment.
Mm-hmm.
And they did try to fight you. He probably tried. They had guns, but you were not exactly a normal person. And it was not really a challenging situation. I will say this, he did run while the rest of them were trying to fight you. So he maybe took like a couple shots at you, but didn't hit you, and ran basically the first opportunity he had when it looked like he was going to lose.
Okay. All right. Chaz would probably be using that the supernatural marked by power extreme intimidation check, and he's going to scare the ever-living shit out of this kid. Okay. And then he's going to use his contacts to name drop at least 3 people that this kid knows, and then he's going to send him on his way, probably slightly wet pants.
100%, absolutely, yeah. And you do that. You drop some names, and you he starts to nods fearfully the entire time. He says, I get it. You'll never see me again. I will disappear. I promise. You will never, ever see me again.
You better hope so.
And he will kind of like stumble to his feet and start to try to leave. He cannot get your knife out himself. So he is just kind of leaving with it. Are you okay with that?
I'm going to take that back. I like those. It's well balanced. I'm sorry I put a lot of money into that.
He's definitely going to scream again as you kind of just reach out and snatch it out of his back. But he does not stop moving away. He just kind of limps away from you. You can watch him go as he steps into like a pool of light from a street lamp, and then turns the corner again, just sort of limping away as quickly as he can. And at that moment, your phone rings.
Okay. He would answer his phone. Yeah.
If you check it, you would see that it is from, I think the number on your caller ID probably, it's not caller ID. I'm not old. It's fine. The number that would pop up on your screen is, this is an interesting question. What would your father's landline be in your phone as? Is it home? Is it?
Oh, no, it would not.
Okay.
It's probably just in there as the devil. That's probably what the caller ID is just listed as. Like, and I'm going to pull out something here that I actually do in my phone, which is silly. It's X the devil. So if you were flipping through the contacts, it would be at the end, so you never dial it on accident.
That's smart. That's very smart. Okay, cool. So that is the number that you see displayed there, X the devil.
I have follow-up questions.
It's fine. Do you answer it?
He would not answer it.
Okay.
He would absolutely not answer that.
That is absolutely fine.
He would probably laugh and hit decline.
100%. As you are like cleaning the blood off of your knife, you hear another beep indicating that a voicemail has been left, and you know that strikes you as odd. Something about that feels off, because your dad tries to call you sometimes, but he never leaves a message. If you don't pick up, he stops calling.
Okay. That's weird. Yeah, gotta listen to the voicemail on that.
And you pull it out and you play it, and the first thing you hear, it's quiet on the other end of the line, and you hear a woman's voice. You'd recognize your father's housekeeper, her voice, as she was probably one of the main people who raised you, if not the person who pretty much solely did it. You would recognize Amalthea's voice as she says,
voice I'm happy to hear.
Yeah. As she says, oh, Chaz, dearie, I've got terrible news, I'm afraid, and I don't know how to begin or what to say. She pauses again, and you can hear her voice is breaking. She sounds like she is crying as she speaks. She takes a second and she says, your father's gone, dear. He passed last night. The funeral arrangements are in progress, and I know things were complicated, but I hope you'll come.
I'm just picturing this is the part in the scene where all the sound stops and you just kind of see that he is in shock right now and he's trying to respond.
Yeah.
And when he was stalking the guy, there was no emotion there. When he was intimidating him, when he was ripping the knife out, nothing. At this point, he's trying very, very hard to make it seem like he's not feeling anything. And, you know, it's not that he's upset. It's that, you know, he hated the bastard. I hated that guy. It's just he's kind of upset because he never got to tell him how much he hated him. That's the thing. You know, it's just that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
How dare.
Yeah.
How very dare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think like that is the thought that sort of prevails as this guy that is standing up in front of the coffin, who you can't even see his face, is talking about how your father never, he always tried. You know, he might have made mistakes, but he always tried. And you're never going to get to tell your dad how wrong that is, how it's bullshit.
Yep.
And he, again, that the man, he speaks. I do have to actually ask an embarrassing clarifying question real quick. Lexi or Ravenna, I can't remember which one of you is older. I'm sorry.
Lexi's older.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right?
Yes.
That's what you're
older.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 5 to 10 year difference we set up between the two,
Yeah.
with Ravenna coming after.
I was the marriage child. Ravenna was the extracurricular child.
Potentially ending the marriage child.
the planned and hopeful child, and when that became a stressful disappointment, one of them was helpful with that stressful disappointing.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, he continues to speak, and he says, Alexander was among many things a man who walked in many worlds, touched many lives. And one thing, there are any number of criticisms that could be levied against him, but one thing you could never say about the man was that he was neutral. He always had opinions, strong feelings. He was guided by a moral compass unlike anything I've seen before or since, or maybe ever will. Where in this assemblage is Lexi?
Oh, Lexi is absolutely front row on the other side of Noctis.
Okay. Are you crying? Are you sad? Even if you're sad, I guess, what does your demeanor seem like?
Lexi looks appropriately sad.
Okay.
Like an appropriate amount of tears. Like she's clearly like dabbing the eyes on either side. Occasionally like gripping Noctis's hand. She looks like, a dignified look at a funeral.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. So you sit there, holding your brother's hand, listening to this man talk about your father, singing his praises. And I think your mind also drifts back a little bit to just a normal day at your apartment, I'm assuming. Does Lexi live alone?
Yes.
Okay.
She's, living that mortal life.
Yeah. 100%. And
but actually like a little bit of like muddy, despite the fact that it's like her parents didn't like really do much in the way of like, affection. They were both loaded, so she's doing okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And so on that note, I think I'm kind of interested. Do you think that in this apartment where Lexi lives, she has a dark room?
Why wouldn't she? Like, if you've got the money and this is like, because it is. Lexi's hobby is photography, but on top of that, it is the fact of that the one supernatural aspect she got from her parents is the ability to do illusions and photomancy. And so that is how she makes her living, of being able to do the equivalent of Photoshop with actual old school photography methods. So the best way to hide that is to do it in her own controlled darkroom. So 100%, she's got the slightly luxury apartment is like the way her parents have both set her up. Because it's like she was never going to be a wizard. She was never going to be in their life. And so this is how they make themselves feel better about the fact that she's doing okay. She's doing fine. She's doing okay. they've helped set her up with an apartment where she has space to have like a dark room, and
Mhm.
she does her form of magic with her photography.
Okay. Amazing. And yeah, that's where you are. I think we are going to go to your
100%.
dark room, and it is the only light source for the red overheads. You have the trays of formula laid out in front of you, the sheets that are hung up on clotheslines with clothespins, drying and starting to be developed. I imagine, I think for the purposes of your craft, you probably have to apply your magic before the development process fully sets on an image. So you've finished this kind of fresh batch that are currently hanging and drying and starting to develop overhead.
I mean, I imagine the way it works is like it's sort of almost like as I'm taking the image is when I'm like,
Love
because
that.
that's when I'm actually able to tweak.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
It's
actively
not
manipulating the
on
light. Yeah,
because it's basically I'm manipulating light as I take the photo.
Yeah.
In a way that like a normal human wouldn't even catch per se.
absolutely. What type of photography does Lexi principally do? Do you do like street photography or like paid photography, wedding photography?
Okay, look, wedding photography isn't her favorite, but it is what pays. Let's be honest. So I'd say wedding photography is her bread and butter. But she would prefer to do more like what she would consider artistic photography. But you just can't turn down wedding photography. It's just like so. And when you have the ability to like make the light hit the bride the right way every time,
Yeah,
like you
using
just get
magic
paid
in wedding photography is high demand.
so much when you are just like all of your bridal photos come out like mwah.
Yes.
So the way she makes her money is absolutely bridal photography, but that's not her favorite.
Right.
She has like
100%.
she has a separate photography that she does just for herself where she does what she would consider more artistic photography, where it is where she like can fully lean into all of the cool stuff she can do with her ability to lean into the illusion photomancy sort of magic as she's taking her photos. And people like when she publishes it, people just like write that it's like clearly just Photoshop, like. But for her, it's like where she gets to really like sort of let go as far as her ability to lean into the one form of magic she did get from her parents and like the one moment she can like really let free and do something that
Yeah.
she's like, this is something I can do and no one else can do, and like really leans into it. But the bridal photography is how she like lives her life because again, that's where the money is. Like you just can always make the light hit the bride like just right, like
Yeah.
perfect.
Which I mean is what you're currently working on. I think you were
This is
you're
like my
coming off
latest
of
batch of bridal photography. Yes.
you're coming off of a wedding shoot. It was a nice wedding. Nothing amazing or
Okay.
spectacular. You've seen better.
Standard,
Absolutely.
basic.
Yeah. But as the photos start to develop where they're hanging, you have just reached the point in your process where you are developing the photos you took during the father-daughter dance. And the photos as they start to develop are coming out wrong, which never happens for you. But just these like 20 or so photos that you snapped during the father-daughter dance, their faces are undeveloped, overexposed. They're just these sort of white splotches on the picture, which has never happened before. You've never seen that. But as you are examining it, your thoughts are kind of interrupted as the door to your darkroom opens.
No, I'm not done in here yet.
It starts to open. If you're fast enough that you manage to stop it most of the way, but it starts to open. You yell out, and the door stops opening, and you hear your mom from the other side of the door say, "I knocked, Alexandra. I knocked many times."
Please shut. I will come right out. Just, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, but I don't want to ruin this bride's photos. I will be right out.
I'll wait. And the door shuts. And shelving the mystery of the father-daughter dance photos.
Wrap up everything and make sure everything's in an appropriate place where I can open the door and go outside.
Yes, absolutely. Once everything is safe, you step out. What does Lexi's mom look like? We know that she is also a wizard, just like your father.
I think she's just a striking woman. Just tall. You wouldn't even necessarily say like beautiful in a like classical sense of like a model, but it's just something about this woman is so striking. And just she looks like someone you would never want to cross. Like she just looks distinct, like just her features are just almost very classic, and just you just look at her and go, this is a woman who gets what she wants, and in a way you kind of want to let her.
So once you emerge, she has already taken over part of your kitchen. She has put like a tea kettle. She's put like a tea kettle on.
I'm used to it.
She's kind of you see her standing there, and she's kind of fiddling with your stove, but like messing with it, messing with a few of the dials, and then she sighs kind of huffily and just sort of takes her hand and like flicks it around, and the metal of the kettle starts to glow with a heat.
Mom,
and the water
the
boils
gas
almost immediately.
stove works just fine if you would give it time to do its thing.
It takes forever, Alexandra.
It takes like a minute. You know what? It's not important. It's not important. Thank you for making tea. Thanks. What is it you needed to talk to me about?
I have some bad news.
Oh, what kind of bad news? I mean, is it the sort of thing of like your usual, you are going to go on a long trip and I'm not going to see you for a while? Or what is this? Like, how bad should I be worried for? Like,
Your father has passed away, Alexandra. Unexpectedly, last night.
what happened? Like, was it he was fine? What do you mean?
These things happen sometimes. Unexpectedly.
No, you're wizards. Like, you don't just up and die randomly when you're doing fine. Like, that doesn't happen.
It's unusual, I'll admit, but there's no sign of foul play that the council has been able to find.
Did they I mean, how much do they look? Like, you don't just up and die. Like, what was it? Like a heart attack? Or that's so dumb. Like, wizards don't have heart attacks. Like, what happened?
Your father was a warden of the White Council, Alexandra. They checked. He had enemies. They checked. There was no evidence of magic involvement.
Fine, even when it's a normal person, you check and find out like why they died. If it's like a heart attack or an aneurysm or like your heart stops beating, like what happened?
Alexandra, you're being hysterical. I need you to calm down.
Okay. I would feel better if I knew how he died.
They will tell us when they know. The investigation is ongoing. They have only determined that he wasn't murdered.
Have they started, you started, funeral arrangements or,
The arrangements are underway, I'm told. I will not be arranging them, of course.
will you attend?
Of course, I will attend. We were married.
Right. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. I understand. That's fine. I guess. Let me know.
I don't have any information yet.
Should we send flowers? I don't know. Do wizards send flowers or like charity donations or like
Your father was a lonely old man. I'm not sure who the flowers would go to other than you.
he has other children? Don't
I'm
I mean
aware.
there's Leah who's living there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you spoken to Leah?
She takes a step towards you, and in a rare moment of physical intimacy, if you can call it that, kind of puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "You are my daughter, Alexandra."
Yes.
The rest of his children, I'm sure, will hear from other people.
Okay. That's fine. Okay.
I
I'll
haven't
just
heard
act
any more.
Noctis. I will act Noctis what else is going on.
I'm sure there will be a lot of pauses delicately to choose her words. Entanglement when it comes to the estate.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare yourself for that.
It'll be fine. We all get along fine. I already know basically everybody besides me and Ravenna have met in passing, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Wait, you're saying that so you're not involved in the estate at all? I know you're his ex-wife, not his like current wife or anything. He doesn't have a current wife. I know he's like not really. That's fine. That's totally normal. Just checking in that you won't be wait, I'm supposed to be involved in this process, but you're not supposed to be involved in this process. Is what
Your
I'm
father and I parted ways cleanly when it became obvious that our differences were unreconcilable.
okay.
I don't want anything of his. I'm sure he didn't want me to have it.
Okay. So it'll be fine. We'll both go to a funeral and it will be fine. Because we both, at least at one point in time, loved Dad. So it'll be great. So we're just both there. Say goodbye to someone we, at least at one point in time in our lives, loved. Yes.
I'm on my way to a council meeting. I'm sure that there will be matters to discuss there.
Oh, of course, I know you're busy. That's fine.
Well, I'll see you at the funeral, if not
Right.
sooner.
Right. I've got the photography. Get back to. We're good. I will see you at the funeral.
And without another word, really, your mom leaves. She, I think, doesn't even fully leave your apartment before she kind of opens. Sorry. I think your mom will probably step over to the terrace or like balcony of your apartment, open the door, kind of take a hand that has a bunch of gold sort of bangly bracelets on it, and they kind of like jingle and stiffen as she waves her hand, says something, and this kind of like tear in the air itself opens up, leaving this sort of shimmering gateway as she steps through it. Kind of
I mean,
closes
it's not
behind
any
her.
weirder than like, using the door. It's fine.
100%.
Fine, that's the way she comes in and out. It's cool.
Totally normal.
It's like totally fine.
Extremely normal.
That's just the way she is. That's just like normal for her.
Absolutely. The kettle that she left.
Oh God! And I rush over and like turn it off as it's like whistling out of control.
Yes.
Like,
Yep. Absolutely, it is. Leaving Alexander's apartment behind and heading back to the funeral. The warden, standing at the front of the assemblage, continues to speak. He pauses at this point. He's quiet for like a good 20 seconds or so. You can't really tell if he's like forgotten what he was going to say or if he's that overcome with emotion or what is going on exactly. But when he starts to speak again, his voice is like kind of choked and contained. He says, he saved my life. Alexander did more times than I can count. Taught me a great many things, knew more about magic than most men will forget. Forgot more about magic than most men will know. There were other sides to him. There were softer sides, compassion. I think eventually he came to hate what it was we did. He saw things differently, lost the black and white worldview of a warden. And where in the gathering is Ravenna?
So Ravenna is sitting at the back, so not near her siblings. She's sitting on the end of a middle row where she can conveniently see her siblings up at the front, but has definitely chose to sit at the very back on the end of the aisle. She is wearing black, but there was definitely a thought process in the morning, like a flash of a scene of her taking this like just vibrant bright red dress and being like, and then putting it up and deciding to fine and go with the black, but it is also definitely the type of black dress that is a little more little black dress than it is formal wear. So deep cut in the center, definitely like shorter, and she has spent the funeral being very animate, or animated. So kind of shifting her position regularly, not really choked up looking at all. Occasionally, when she catches an eye in the funeral, maybe lingering on her attire, she returns like a playful wink or like a little waggle of her fingers. During the speech at various times, she has dramatic eye rolls. They always tried his best. Definitely was a laugh half-heartedly disguised as a cough. During any number of criticisms, there was definitely anyone who would have noticed a like counting on fingers, as though trying to find exactly that number and then agreeing that maybe any number is a better way to describe it. But yeah, she's just kind of sitting to herself. She didn't want to sit with her siblings, but she is keen to keeping an eye on them and how they're all reacting to the whole situation.
Okay. And similarly, as you're kind of taking all of this in, acting accordingly, your mind also drifts back to when you first heard about this, which I think was not that long ago. I think maybe hearing about the funeral was kind of a surprise. Ravenna lives alone, yes?
Mhm.
Okay. Same kind of deal as Lexi, family money? Like, does the family take care of Ravenna, or are you pretty self-sufficient?
No, she makes good money on her own. She's pretty active, so she's always putting on a performance or a show or doing something. She's gotten her a number of gifts from friendly faces. She's met along the way, so she doesn't have really any ties to family at this point, money or otherwise.
And I think in Ravenna's case, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently. I imagine, and once again, I'm going to have to put somebody on the spot here, but I imagine one day there's a knock at your door. And when you open it, I think it's probably Noctis on the other side.
I think that would make sense.
Oh, Ravenna, you look smashing as always. He kind of looks at the door frame. Do I abide by the same rules that other kind of creatures do with like coming into places? A will?
Sorry, no. I didn't realize there was a question directed at me. No, the barred from entry thing is a mortal practitioner limitation. The threshold around houses largely just applies to mortal wizards not being able to take their magic in with them if they're not invited.
Well, he looks regardless and he says, could you let me in, dear sibling?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Coming in, brother.
I hope I am not intruding on you getting ready for a performance, or I imagine you're quite busy.
No, we had a lovely show last night. I'm feeling quite well nourished and quite I'm taking the day off, so to speak.
Are there any indicators around Ravenna's house or apartment or wherever she lives of what it is she does? Like what kind of shows?
Yeah, so I think there's a variety of like hang. I don't think she's particularly clean, so I think there's like outfits and costumes hanging over. And they definitely run the gamut from like you know basically tassels to like that lingerie dress blend to like full on like elaborate costume wear. I think she does everything from like very elaborate burlesque performances to stripping to just a variety of like even modeling. Like there's some nice formal dresses too. Like anything where she can kind of be that center of attention, evoke, those feelings, have people focused on her, and usually in some way at some point across it get some physical contact since that is how she does feed.
Absolutely. Uh,
So like Noctis kind of like comes in and like with him, I don't know if they would get what kind of reaction it would get out of uh, Ravenna, but there's just like a little bit of a gust of chill breeze as he like kind of like wafts in, maybe a stray leaf or two, uh, and he's a close talker. I don't
Mhm.
know how most of his siblings feel about that, but so he like kind of like comes a little like, too close to you, and you can smell like typical things, just like autumn spices like cloves, allspice, nutmeg, maybe a crisp apple, or something like that. And like I'm sure she has maybe poked fun at him about it, and I think he's maybe learned to take it in stride. But I'm curious what her reaction would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the wind and stuff like that, like she's certainly not one at this point to like hide from like abilities and natures. So I think she thinks that's like quite quaint and fun. The up close talking actually is not a put off to her just because she is fond of Noctis and also like frankly is no stranger to getting into someone's personal space herself. So I think there
Mhm.
might be a point where there's like a soft placement of a hand on like an upper chest and like a slight pushing back of just like okay, creating a little bit of space. Um,
Mhm.
no, go ahead.
Oh, so he like looks down and like looks at her like hand, and then like just like backs off like an inch, and he says, "Ravenna, I would love if this was any other social call to see my dear sister, and I'm proud of you and all of the things that you've done quite a bit with yourself, and I'm glad to call you my sister." Uh, This is going to be difficult for me to say, and also it may be difficult for you to hear. And like he like thinks about it, and he's like, "Do you have like a beer, or do you need to sit down? It's difficult news." And you might seem like you might notice it looks like he's trying to buy himself time almost, because she knows him pretty well, and she's also pretty um, intuitive, I would say, right?
Yeah. So I think oh well um why don't you come into the kitchen? I'll get us both something to drink. I apologize if I'd known you were coming. I'm all out of anything pumpkin flavored, but I know that just to your
He
taste.
laughs and he says, no problem whatsoever. Spiced wine will be fine." And, like with a straight face, he's like, any spiced ale or whatever you have is perfectly fine. Cider is also good. Not taking in the irony of it at all. And then he mutters something about like pumpkin spice. Uh, you
Yeah, I think she brings you to the kitchen and gets you both drinks of that variety.
uh, like thanks, sir, and sits down, like tall guy, like athletic frame, but not quite as strong looking as his dear brother. And he says, Ravenna, father is gone.
Gone. He was never here, as far as I, am concerned. But what do you mean gone?
He smiles, takes a second and smiles amusedly, and he says, father is dead.
Hmm.
He kind of gauges your reaction, almost waiting to give his.
Well, who'd he finally piss off enough to accomplish that?
I don't know. I was visited by a messenger of the Never Never, and that is how I found out. But the portents never lie. You are the first person I came to, because I'm not sure if you would want to find out or not, but I respect you too much. You deserve to know.
No, I appreciate the notice. Gotta buy a dress.
Noctis opens his mouth, shuts it quickly. Yes. And he writes down on a piece of paper the funeral arrangements, and he hands it to her, but if she takes it, he keeps on holding it, and he says, he was an indecent man, and he could have done better by any of us, and you. And he lets go of the piece of paper. And he has not taken a sip of his beverage at all.
I
Don't know
mean,
what to do.
nothing you said is inaccurate, but we'll go to the funeral. I'm at least curious to figure out what happened to him. Maybe I have a thank you card to write. Who knows?
That is very funny. He allows himself a chuckle, and it's warm. And he says, I don't know what will come of this, but it's interesting that you thought that somebody may have taken him out. And I'm curious about that too. But I'm not particularly friends with any of the wizards. Are you?
Wizards tend not to be my biggest fans. At least not in public. So I think our best bet is probably to wait and see who shows up.
Thank you for the drink, dear sister. I'm told that whatever we are supposed to feel, and whatever we end up feeling, is perfectly natural.
If so, that might be the only thing perfectly natural about this family, dear brother.
He laughed warmly, and he said yes. I wasn't quite sure how this was going to go, but let's get coffee or a drink afterward. I wouldn't mind seeing you again.
Absolutely.
He nods, and he does take a swig, and he politely places it down almost perfectly on any surface that doesn't stain. And he kind of bows, and I'll see you there. And he like walks out the door.
Ravenna,
Mhm.
I imagine that there are a couple of different ideas or thoughts kind of floating around in your mind. I think that I am going to offer you the first compel of this game. I think I'm going to tap your high concept of white court black sheep. Your mom would want to know about this.
Hmm. So I think I will take that. She would tell her. It's just how she would deliver the news is what I'm thinking on. But yes, I absolutely will accept that compel, and I think she would tell her whether it's in person or just a phone call. Hmm. I think she wants to see their reactions because I think she does legitimately think someone killed him and is curious. So I think she would go to deliver the news in person.
Okay. And so you would go to your family home, the other side of your family, which I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably suitably sort of tacky for the white court. A lot of, white marble columns, vaguely Greco inspired, and just generally full of like beautiful dark-haired cousins, aunts, uncles.
Yeah.
Your mom in particular, what is she like?
She is surprisingly kind of timid or a little soft-spoken for a white court vampire. She can, when needed, kind of turn that into like an alluring kind of like shyness and like, mysterious and stuff like that. But when she's not trying to weaponize it, she is a little bit kind of trodden over in the family house. Her relationship with our father was very much a strategy of the White Court that she was enlisted to do, and she went along with it, but was never her plan. She doesn't really operate with that much agency in the family. That is certainly something that like Ravenna has very much pushed against also in her own kind of path to find her own agency. So she's there amongst the house, but I don't think I think she's probably kind of out of the way right now, frankly, because she doesn't have a particular role to play, at least at this current moment, at least as far as Ravenna knows.
So you and your mom are kind of squirreled away somewhere in the house, kind of privately. I'm picturing like a window with like a what is it called? The sitting area that's like built into a window. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'm not an
Like
architect.
a bay
all right?
window?
Calm down. Yes, a bay window.
A
There it
nook.
is.
A nook.
A nook. It's a bay window. Okay, we
A
got
bay
there
window.
eventually.
The blossom window is what you're going for, yes.
Yeah. It's a bay window, and you're kind of secreted away there talking to each other. It's always kind of unsettling being here, the home.
Mhm.
But I think what's more unsettling to Ravenna is when you tell your mom the news. She kind of gives you one of those shaky, almost shy smiles that also contains somehow still evokes a sort of predatory air to it. She says, I'll have to buy a dress.
Yeah,
And-
yes, indeed, mother.
and leaving the Wraith household behind, going back to the funeral on the hill. It seems that the man in the gray cloak is starting to finish his eulogy, starting to finish speaking. He steps forward and he says, in keeping with our traditions, we now invite the assembled mourners to look upon Alexander Madigan's countenance for the last time, that we may remember him as he was in life and as he went into death. And he will reach out one hand, big, scarred, calloused hand, and open the top of the casket that sits there. And people rise from their seats almost as one, start to make their way up. Leah, where were you seated?
So, depending on how like big the rows of seats are, she's probably in the like first or second row. She's gonna sit with her mom, but because her mom is not altogether with it, like the two of them are not like immediately next to her siblings. So like I'm imagining that she's like got like her arm looped through her mother's, and like as mom is, you know, like making observations about like the rain and like, you know, things that it's like only sort of half there, that she's like keeping both of their voices down, and uh you know, so we're not like front and center, if only because she's trying to kind of minimize the potential disruption from her mom. Like, you know, it's important that she was here, but like depending on how good of a day today is, like so she's probably like the other end of the row from Noctis and Chaz and Lexi.
Okay.
So when everyone rises, she'll like make her mom stand at the same time too, so that they can like, you know, walk over and it's like, all right, everybody's doing this right now, and all we have to do is get through this, and then we'll sit back down, and then it's fine. Like, yeah.
And she walks up with you, asking questions the whole way, but keeping them kind of under her breath, speaking very quietly, as you urge her to. She kind of doesn't have much reaction to the coffin as she gets to it before you. But you get there and you look down, and I mean, it is unmistakably your father. That same, you know, he has very sharp, strong features, even in his old age. His hair is largely gone. What little was left, he took care of himself, shaved it off. But his beard was always well trimmed, well groomed. And, you know, in death, that is no exception. Still has a few of those roots of that strong, dark red color, but it is largely overcome with gray hair. And he has been similarly dressed, not in traditional funeral attire, but in a gray cloak, and resting across his chest, both hands kind of clasping the hilt, there is a silver sword. And he looks peaceful. But as you look down, you can't help but think of the last time you saw him. And your mind travels back to your home, Madigan Manor, which is a large Victorian house in the city, so old that you're fairly certain the city built up around it, not the other way around. It's full of rooms that aren't used anymore, or maybe were never used and are locked up. Even though Amalthea, the housekeeper, keeps it pretty immaculate, there are endless oddities, strange nooks and crannies. It's easy to get lost to, no matter how well you think it is. Or it's easy to get lost in, no matter how well you think you know it. And it is also where you have been receiving your magic lessons during your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
From your father. And on this particular day, when you showed up, your father didn't seem to be in a mood to do magic or to instruct you in magic, which normally he was kind of a businessy guy. He's kind of not one for pleasantries or anything like that, kind of very like down to business. Let's do it. But this particular time you showed up, let yourself into the house, strangely quiet. You didn't see Amalthea anywhere. You made your way up to his study, where you'd been 100 times before, not 1,000 times before.
I'm imagining that she like came in through the kitchen, like grabbed like an apple and took a bite of it, and was like, well, I don't know where you are, but hi, I'm here. And like, so it's like crunching on the way up to Dad's study.
Yeah. The largest and most notable thing about your father's study easily is the hearth, because it is a hearth. It wouldn't be accurate to call it a fireplace. It's enormous, and it is like ancient stones that have been somewhat blackened with use. There are objects across the top of it, the mantle of it, most notably mounted on the wall above it. There's that same silver sword. A few other objects and trophies. And directly across from it, in a high-backed leather chair, the same chair that your father always sat in. There he is, Alexander Madigan. He is tall and, unaffected by age, seemingly, even though he has reached his twilight years. He still looks healthy and hale and vital. And he's kind of just sitting there, one leg crossed over the other, hands in his lap, gazing into the fire as it roars across from him.
Leah's gonna come in and be like already like hopping on one foot to like get off of a shoe, and like toss it to the side and we're like, I know I'm like 2 minutes late. I got it. I know what I'm supposed to, because like we always start the same way. We always start with like discipline, meditation, the same phrases and chants that always happened at the start of a lesson. Like it's very regimented. Like I know exactly what he's expecting, and when that doesn't happen, that's disappointment. But it's also like at this point it's mechanical. Like I can start all of the motions without him having to actually provide a greeting or even feedback, because that probably doesn't happen all the time when he's like busy doing something else. So she's gonna like kick off like both of her shoes and like half like stumble into like a like hands resting on thighs, ready to like clear the mind and focus, but on the floor, not in a chair, because that's we don't sit with Dad's chair, but like to the side of the hearth in sort of this place that she like normally occupies. So like immediately dropping down into that, like, okay, like, right. And then, like, putting, like, the apple to the side, like, oh, right, that's a thing. Like, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm here. Yeah, like, hi.
No lesson today.
So,
Not today.
so it's a test? Oh, okay. Obviously I'm ready. And she'll, like, stand back up slowly.
He kind of gestures one hand and says, sit down.
Okay. Fold back up and sits exactly the way that she was before.
This house is so empty. He hasn't taken his gaze off of the fire once.
Yeah. Yes. Like, she's, like, waiting for, like, is this an observation that is literal or figurative? Like, her brain is going, like, okay, what is he actually trying to tell me right now? Do we mean literally empty? Do we mean figuratively empty? Like, okay, the safest answer, yes.
It's so big. When I was younger, I used to think about how alive it would be when it was full. Full of children and laughter and life.
She's not going to say anything, but, like, her face is doing many things all at the same time. Like, that is not a thing I expected you to say. That has never been on the table for you. I was not meant to be here. Like, you know, like, if you wanted it full with, like, Lexi could be here, her kids could be here. Like, that's not sure where you're going with it. Okay, like, so, like, as she's listening, the, like, expressions and, like, those, like, sort of reflected colors across her eyes, she's thinking about what on earth this is coming from, and that it has to be, like, there has to be another meaning here that I'm supposed to be responding to in a particular way, and I just don't know. I don't know how to please him yet with it. So she's, like, just,
Almost
like,
as if
intently
almost as if he
listening.
could sense that from you. He again holds up a hand and says, it's not a test, Leah. Is it Leah? Sorry, I forget.
Leah, yeah, because it's orally.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's not a test, Leah. Just a question.
I'm sorry. Just from the peeing gallery. Did you just double check that it was pronounced Leah, and then our father specifically then said it Leah? I'm just checking that is an actual character choice.
No, that was a slip up.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was just like you.
Yeah.
I thought that was you, like, as a character, be like, which is the correct way? Gonna do the exact opposite, because
That
that's the
would
way
be
your
fair.
dad is, because he's a fucking dick. And I would have accepted that. I just wanted to be sure.
Thank
Make
you.
sure
gonna
there's
say-
subtext. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
going to
like,
say
that's a
he's
hard
never
turn in
done
the.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he's never done that, but in this particular moment, no.
Yeah.
He says,
Oh man.
Yeah.
it's not a test, Leah. Just one question.
It's supposed to make me feel better.
I wonder what will be left behind when I am gone. Children who won't remember me, who hate me, who never even knew me.
You have quite a legacy. I can't speak for everybody, but I know the amount of work that you've done protecting the world and rising to your duty, and the the power that you've wielded to help so many and to keep the order of things. That the the what you leave
Legacies.
behind with children, you still have some really wonderful people. Look at how great, you know, Lexi is, and Noctis is a prince, and that
Legacies come with age.
Chaz doesn't hate you, not really.
Legacies come with age, and age makes us stubborn, unchanging, unable to change, no matter how much we may want to. Looks into the fire, he nods, and he says, I have often sat here and thought about the folly of man and how it reminds me of this firewood. The tree never suspects that one day it will be consumed in flame, cut up with no other purpose but to burn. As it grows, perhaps it thinks itself immortal. Left to its own devices, how long would it live? How tall would it grow? Would it stop? But interrupted, broken into a million pieces, fed to the fire.
Uh, Dad, the the whole time the tree is growing, it's providing shade and oxygen, and maybe it doesn't know that when it gets chopped, but the whole life of the tree to that moment still provided for the air and the forest. And even in burning, doesn't it provide heat and light?
I think that will be my fate. I think that I have made so many pieces of my life, scattered them and lost them. And I think alone I will burn, and there will be nothing left but ash.
Did something happen? I, I
He sort of breaks from that reverie when you ask that, and he looks at you for the first time. And I think for the first time in your life, you can see that there are tears in his eyes, that he is crying, which is not something you ever thought you'd see in a million years. And as if that wasn't weird enough, he smiles at you. And think that's even more unsettling. You've never seen
Yeah,
him
that's what
smile before,
like,
but
I think
he
tears in his eyes, she's gonna like move like she's gonna go towards the chair. Like she's probably more or less on her knees as she was like sitting in the meditation position. And then like when he smiles, she's gonna kind of stop like before she gets to actually like placing a hand on his knee or something. Like, oh, okay.
he smiles at you. It is a surprisingly nice smile. It is his eyes like crinkle in a very kind of happy way. He looks kind. Very strange. Not an expression you've ever seen on his face before, but he smiles at you and he puts his large, much significantly larger hand on top of yours and pats it gently, and he says, "I'm fine, Leah. Just tired. That's all." I
I
think
can go get some. I know you don't really drink the tea downstairs, but I'm sure that Amaltheus has coffee. Um, let me go get. I'll be right. I mean, unless you don't want to
I'm
be alone.
I'm tired and I'd like to rest. I think just rest today. We'll do your lesson tomorrow.
Okay, I have plenty of books to work with in the meantime. I have been reading some things about some of my, ritual work, and I know I need that. Soon. Let me go get you that coffee. I'll just be right back. And she'll like almost like dash for the door. Like, we have never left a lesson early, or certainly not me dismissed. Like, if he's not available for it, I've still got stuff to do. Like, this is, and she's gonna like dart for like checking around every corner for Amalthea of like, what the fuck is going on? This is not a normal circumstance, and now I'm really worried that something is up. Like, I don't even know if he can get sick. Is he like, what is this? Like, something happened. He's not going to tell me what happened. Why the hell would we not have lessons today? Like, did I do something? I definitely did something. This is my fault. I don't know how, but it's definitely my fault.
Yeah.
And
You don't see Amalthea, but you get coffee. You make coffee. By the time you bring it back to him, he is asleep in the chair. His head is kind of like tilted forward. He's breathing regularly and deeply. Just kind of looks like he dozed off, and kind of that's it. But when you go to bed, you are awoken the next morning by a tapping on your window, rhythmic. And when you look up and open your eyes, you see that there are two ravens sitting on the windowsill.
okay.
When you sit up and look at them, they fly off.
Okay. And she's gonna like shrug on like the like oversized hoodie that's like like draped over the chair with the rest of the laundry next to the bed. And they like, it's mostly clean. It's fine. And like pulling on some socks and gonna like pad really quietly past my mom's room and then like go like down the like couple of staircase down to like the front door. I'm imagining we live in like one of those really narrow row homes, but like I don't know what city we're in yet, so that one. And like down the like 4 steps to the sidewalk in the street and kind of scanning for
Seem to beckon to you. They kind of circle over you, and when you stop under them, they fly off. And when you follow them, they take you to Madigan Manor. Not a terrible distance away from where you are.
Yeah.
And I think, from there, it's all kind of a blur to Leah. walking up the stairs, opening the door. We don't see the inside of his office, his study, but it's clear from Leah, the expression on Leah's face, what she finds. And I think a heavy hand lands on your shoulder, comfortingly.
And as it like sits there, she's just gonna like crumple like all the way down to his feet, and like the like sobs like I didn't know, and I was here yesterday, and I got him coffee. He seemed. Did this happen when I was here? Was he asleep when I was here? What?
Odin doesn't have answers for you. He just kind of wraps you in his arms, and he shushes you gently and lets you cry. And as we leave that image behind, you're standing in front of the casket, and you don't know how long you've been standing there, but a strong breeze, a strong gust of wind blows, and the door, the top of the casket closes with a snap. And we are going to take a 10-minute break before we come back and continue playing the story. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Don't go away. We will be right back with more of the Madigans. See you soon. Hello, friends. We are back. Thanks for sticking around. This is I almost said this is Veil Breakers. This is the Madigans.
Hey, this is the group that was formerly known as the Veil Breakers.
Yeah, exactly.
With bonus Liz.
And then we added a member and got real cool.
Yeah.
I like how I'm the add-in member and also am playing the most removed child from the family.
Yeah.
We
100%.
love you. We love you.
Don't speak for all of us. Like we have complicated feelings about. We
see,
want to
work on it.
love.
I can see Noctis at like some dinner, like we all love each other, and that's that.
Right, yeah.
Or else.
It's not a question.
It's not a question I've declared.
It's been declared.
Speaking of your complicated feelings,
Oh boy.
when we pick back up, I think what has basically happened after the funeral itself, after the ceremony itself, it was announced by this cloaked man that, again, in the tradition of the White Council and the Wardens, there would be a remembrance at Madigan Manor, and that all were invited to attend. I think, let me ask you this. Would you all attend, or would you try to dip out after the funeral?
Lexi would go.
Noctis would definitely go. Appearances have to be kept up.
Right? Like we're good. Why wouldn't the daughter of the bereaved go?
Yeah.
Leah will go. She'll sort of gauge with her whether or not her mom is up to going. So she might like not be the first one there because she's like getting her resituated at home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously she'll be there.
Okay. Which leaves
We're
the
gonna
two.
go.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. I was going to say that the two less obvious ones. Ravenna's going. Is Chaz.
Ooh.
Chaz absolutely looks like he's just like, I don't give a shit about any of this, but he's also standing there like Leah is standing with her mother, and he has his hand on each of Ravenna and Alexi's shoulder, just like making sure they're okay. And he's like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever.
There is absolutely no way you are able to have your hand on both Ravenna and
Not at the same
Lexi's
time.
shoulders at
No,
the same
not at the same time. They're nowhere near each other. Yeah.
Lexi has a polite acknowledgement that Ravenna is there. Lexi does not hang out with Ravenna.
Mm-hmm.
I think I definitely have walked near you when there's time to like mingle at times
And
to
she
like
has
catch
been
the
like,
feeling.
hey, so good you could make it.
Okay, incredible. Chaz, Chaz, you mentioned trying to sneak off at one point. Like it sounds like you're gonna go, but you were maybe on the fence about it at one point.
No, he's absolutely just trying to comfort his siblings.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. All right, cool. So that's easy then.
Absolutely, if like Chaz is there, meanwhile Lexi is absolutely gonna like be like, oh my god, it's so good to see you. Like, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awful. I hate that.
What was that?
No, I hated that.
How dare.
How dare.
Felt very disingenuous and I didn't like listening to it.
Okay, but that was like she actually like likes Chaz.
No, not that. When you were talking to, oh, sorry, I thought that like so good to see you was directed at Ravenna.
No, that was like
That
actually
was real.
That one was real. Okay.
I'm actually so good to see you.
With the pointed actually after saying like, oh, good to see you, and then oh, good to see you
Oh, it's actually
actually.
good to see you.
I kind of get like an Alexis vibe from like Schitt's Creek. Like,
oh,
it's really good to see you. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's so good to see you.
I love that for you.
I love that for you.
in the case then that you are all attending the remembrance, I think we're going to skip ahead a little bit in time to Madigan Manor, which is full of people for the first time in a very long time, possibly longer than any of you have been alive. There are a tremendous number of people milling around on the downstairs floors, largely concerns like the drawing room, the dining room, kitchen, even. There's a sunroom, we'll say. And Madigan Manor, conservatory. Yes.
Yes.
Madigan Manor, I will also say, is like our kind of every house for the purpose of this game. Whatever you want a house to have in it, this house probably has it.
Is it a McMansion or is it a mansion?
No, well, it's an old. It would maybe
Old
not
money.
even be considered a manor by present day terms. It is a very big house, but it is like a big Victorian house in the middle of a city. It's like one of those houses.
An older home in the middle of the city.
Yes. Yes.
We're not talking like 15-person theater in the middle of the.
No. But also it wouldn't have anything
So
that like
McMansion standard.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Like a New York City, very old money townhouse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they call it a brownstone out here. Yeah,
yes.
that one. Yep.
I would say it's probably more tall than it is anything else. There are floors to it. But curious where you could all be found at this gathering. Again, there are a lot of people standing around. There is food. There are drinks that have been put out for people. Just a lot of people milling around and talking about your father and remembering him, as is the custom. You don't know most of them. You don't know how many of them are weird like you versus completely normal people, if any of them are.
Lexi is 100% playing the part of the like doting daughter of like, so good of you to come. Yes, he was like so great, and we're all going to miss. Oh, that's a beautiful memory you have of him. Like, yes, just like going around to like everybody, especially people she recognizes, but like she's just doing the part of like, since there's probably not a wife to do it, since he can't keep a romantic partner long enough, so Lexi absolutely feels obligated to be the like the person doing the like the meet and greet
Matriarch.
people. Yeah, for these people who've come here for this funeral.
Absolutely. And I think maybe your mom was like with you for a while, and then when you started doing that, she was like, I don't want to.
She showed up to the funeral. If she was sitting next to me, it was under duress. And as soon as we got to the house, if she's still there, if she sticks around, she's like, I'm going to get a drink.
Okay.
You don't want me talking to anybody. And I'm like, I agree. I don't want you talking to anybody here. And she just eases out. However long she stays here. She may not stay here the whole time. If she does, it may turn into a scene. If she doesn't, it may be that she goes to a bar around the corner to do her stuff outside of the current. Who knows? Let's roll them bones and see what kind of day my mom is having. But
that seems likely to me. I think you lose track of her and all of the people that are speaking to you.
I was just trusting that she would behave herself.
Yeah.
I think it was a bad choice, but I think it's a choice I made.
And I think you get plenty of people coming up and talking to you. I think you're probably the most like public of the Madigan children, as you're the only kind of legitimate child, and also the like one that was born of the union of two wizards. Nobody mentions your little problem, of course, but they are extra sympathetic in a way you probably don't love. Like you get vibes like, oh, on top of everything you're dealing with, this is terrible.
If only you didn't suck.
Nobody says that.
Not out loud.
You are the only one with two famous parents.
Yeah.
Oh, if only you weren't such a failure with both of your parents being so good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's totally more like I'm also so sorry for your mother. I know that even though they weren't still together, like just both of them, such accomplished talents.
Yeah.
And that must be so hard for you.
You're doing so well for yourself in the circumstances.
It's crochet? Or oh no, I'm sorry.
Photography. I do photography.
No, you're not a violinist? I thought you played in the
No, I do photography.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
This is the game. This is petty party guests, the game.
That's going in the favorites. So
no, this is literally just an improv game now.
This is a conversation I've had before. Yeah.
Oh, I'm absolutely accepting that this is like an actual thing. People are talking to Lexi during the party. I'm just like, yep, I'm pretty sure I do photography.
Is that your sister? Yeah.
So great. My dad died. Yes.
And then
this is absolutely what I want to be talking about today.
Is it your cousin? Am I thinking of your cousin? Oh no, it's Jeannie's girl. That's who I'm thinking of.
Who's Jeannie? Fuck Jeannie. I'm sorry. Where's the bar? You've been great. I'm so happy to see you. It's been great to see you. I'm just gonna.
She's the low talent.
Holy shit. Cool. Well. Spicy.
High point of the night, Vicky playing the party guests.
Yeah, Vicky does cutting well. Like that cut me to my core.
Only some of it's from personal experience. It's fine.
Yeah,
Vicky doesn't like have the experience of being on the receiving end of this stuff to draw. Not at all.
No, I might throw it to you, Vicky, if I have any other need for.
It turns out you're way better being petty than Will.
Yeah.
Years of observation.
Right.
Speaking of causing problems on purpose, I am curious where Ravenna ends up at this gathering.
Yeah. So continuing the spirit of unsaid messages and false enthusiasm, Ravenna has put on her best charm and is going up to everyone at this thing who does not look to be super sad. Like anyone who might just seem like they're there because they have to be, or even like who's putting on airs, or anyone who does not read as like seemingly enthusiastically, legitimately sad. She's approaching, like starting conversation with and kind of trying to hint towards feelings about him. But the moment like they show that they are like, yeah, no, it really is a tragedy. Or she just kind of is very like, oh yeah, absolutely, a tragedy, truly, and then like pieces out immediately to go talk to a different person, who like trying to find people who might also have a grudge against him, not to like collect them, but because she still thinks like, no, he must have pissed somebody off enough to get killed. Like he didn't just die. Someone definitely did this. He's got a lifetime of like, rubbing people the wrong way, at least as far as she's concerned. So trying to find someone else who might be here, who might have been involved or know something about it.
Okay. I might ask you to roll rapport.
Okay.
First compel and first roll. Okay. Da, 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 da.
So it's been forever since I played Fate. So 4 dice. I have a +3 in rapport. So modify the 3 by what I roll on the 4 dice with the pluses and minuses.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's 2 minuses and 2 blanks. So that is a 1.
Okay. Interesting. Everybody that you talk to seems sympathetic and suspicious of you. And I think you quickly get the impression that if anybody here is a suspect, most people think it's you.
I don't think she minds that.
Yeah. I had a feeling.
You've been made as the weird kid.
Yeah. I think you're succeeding on that rapport roll is enough to tell you that, like, while you are probing for information, the people you are probing you back.
Yeah.
What, like, does everybody here know that Ravenna is his kid?
It was a big scandal, so
Yeah,
probably.
okay. Yeah, all right.
And I mean, Ravenna's mom went out of her way to make sure everybody knew.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, fair.
Like bringing me to the manor at times
so the
to
only
like
people,
flaunt it.
So the only people who wouldn't know would be like complete normies.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Cool. That's fun. It sounds like you are enjoying it. So you have that to enjoy, I guess. I am curious now that you're back at the house. Are Noctis and Chaz avoiding each other, hanging out? It's probably been a while since you've been in the same place at the same time.
Oh no, I'm definitely like we've already had a moment. We've hugged and talked. Chaz has himself a corner and a whiskey, is not talking to fucking anybody. I don't give a shit about any of you assholes, and is watching his family, especially Noctis, and is looking out for danger because somebody killed Dad. But I want to make sure that nobody messes with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was gonna say, whatever Ravena's drink of choice is it like a martini or a Cosmo or?
Ooh, I think martini is a good call. I think it is. At least in this sort of function. I think it adjusts based on the function, but here it is definitely. Actually, no, martini is a little too stoic. I think it is something that is very vibrantly colored. Like she caved on the dress. She's not caving on the drink.
Appletini.
Appletini.
Yeah. Appletini.
I was thinking
Appletini.
like a Manhattan with like the bright red. Yeah.
Like Chaz is set up in a corner somewhere sipping a scotch, and just as Ravenna goes by, he just hands her an appletini as she's going by.
I think Noctis and Chaz had a moment, like they had like a, if not now, like a private discussion, like maybe before, and then like it may have been like, Dad's dead. He's like, yup, and then he's like, foul play, and maybe a Chaz goes, probably, or something like that. Or it's like twin telepathy where we both go at the same time. Noctis would find spiced wine somewhere, or like, a
No,
stout.
let's be fair. The maid has the what's her name?
Amalthea.
Amalthea.
Amalthea. She's
No.
made you spiced wine. Like at this point in the evening, it's in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to put forth earlier during the scene with Ravenna and Noctis that it makes sense to me that it is part of the mantle of autumn that any alcoholic beverage you consume is just mold by default.
You see steam.
Yeah.
Which is real interesting when, like, things get real sparse and, like, someone in your family hands you, like, a White Claw, and then it gets, like, all mold up.
This is a cranberry White Claw? I didn't even know they made that flavor.
It's true. Only closer to Halloween, he says under his breath. But I think, like, while he stays pretty close to his twin bro, Chaz, he, instead of what Ravenna is doing, I think he does quite the opposite. Both of them are very striking figures. I think he just radiates this kind of... He's rather intimidating, unless he chooses to be, like, kind of warm. So instead, he's standing in one place, and people are just coming to him. And he, like, is polite. He says all of the correct things. And there might be White Council people who come up to speak to him too, because they were involved in giving our mother safe harbor at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we happened. So I think he says, like, all of the correct things, but he is also kind of, like, asks, like, innocent questions that, like, maybe when people walk away, they're like, wait a second, I did all of the talking there. So
Yeah.
I think he tries to use his, like, presence in order to draw people in and talk to them.
100%. I think you probably end up comforting people about completely unrelated personal tragedies.
Mhm.
And they just, like, can't help but talk about them with you.
Mhm.
Starts off with them trying to relate. Before they know it, they're just, like, spilling their guts, and you're comforting them.
I'm like, oh, that's very strange. And not quite related to this, but that's good to know. Because he is looking for kind of connections. So yeah.
I think as you are standing there, you are approached. The woman that you were speaking to a second ago finishes, like, sobbing. You kind of are able to usher her away. You say, like, there, it'll get better. Don't worry. And she, like, takes her leave. But as she does so, a person approaches you, a kind of large, impressive figure, maybe not quite so tall as you, but definitely more muscular. And he has sort of very broad, plain features, fairly short graying hair, and there is a scar on the top of his head where, like, hair clearly doesn't grow anymore. And he also he is clean shaven, but it looks wrong on him. It looks weird, like he should have a beard. He has one of those faces. And it takes you a second, I think, but eventually he talks, and you realize that this was the man giving the eulogy. You just couldn't see his face when he was up there.
Wait, but you're saying he's, like, jacked?
He's pretty jacked. He has what I would call practical muscle. He is a big man. He is not a bodybuilder, but he has an air about him like he could, throw down
He's
if he had to.
larger than our 6-foot-something brother.
Not taller, just broader.
I'm saying jacked.
You're not wrong. But he speaks, and he would hold his hand out, actually, to shake your hand, depending on if you would like to take
He
it.
smiles warmly. He's like, greetings. Lovely eulogy. He must have meant so much to you.
He did. I appreciate that. I don't think we've ever met before.
No, we have not. Noctis.
Duncan.
And like he does hold out his hand and he shakes it. He's like, I am his first son and his firstborn, heir to the Autumn Court. And he like calmly goes through a couple of different titles and then like shakes him like you would checking somebody for a knife, because that's how Mama taught me.
Yeah.
And he says, and you are? He says, like, not letting go.
Duncan Mara, Warden of the White Council.
I assumed as much. Duncan, thank you for the eulogy.
I appreciate that. I hope I did him justice. He takes a sip out of a drink in his hand, kind of looks around the room a little bit. You realize, I think, that what he is not making eye contact with you. But I think you realize that is because he is not attempting to initiate a soul gaze with you. He is not trying to look into your soul as you gaze into his, unable to forget anything either of you sees.
He like kind of like takes it and nods. He's like, this is uncomfortable business. But I would like to know eventually, how did my father pass? Our father. And he kind of like looks over to Chaz, like making sure he's still like in the vicinity.
You know, it's not often that a wizard passes of natural causes, but it does happen.
Yes, usually through violence.
I'd probably classify those as unnatural causes myself, but
Natural for wizards, if we are to be honest about it. You do an extraordinary service to the unwitting mortals who surround all of us.
you trying to gas him up? You trying to make friends with this man?
He like in a very aloof manner, he's just like, they may not know it, but you have prevented more deaths in the mortal world than they will ever know. Or, yes, I forget how you put it. Magic. Learned more magic than others would have forgotten or learned?
Forgot more magic than others learn in a lifetime. Yeah.
Yes.
He
That magic you protect everybody.
seems like he likes.
Sorry?
No, I was just gonna say he seems like he likes what you're saying. He kind of nods as you're talking about the services that the that the White Council provides.
And if not for you, my brother and I would not exist. So we thank you for at least protecting our mother. Did you know her?
Actually, I came over and I wanted to introduce myself because we've never met, but I did know your mom. Yeah.
Do you know where she is, by chance?
He laughs a little bit incredulously and says, if we did, you'd know too. You wouldn't try to keep a mother away from her children.
Oh, no, not of course. Of course not. It's always worth asking.
She was a very impressive woman.
If you'd ever like to speak further on more supernatural terms and events, please do let me know.
I would be honored to, and I'm sure the White Council can be made to see that it's in their best interest to support the rise of the Autumn Court once again.
I couldn't agree more. And he smiles like legitimately like warmly. His very, very dark, like the whites of his eyes are like absolutely black, and his irises are warm gold, kind of autumn color, but like they kind of shine brightly, even if he like catches just like a glimpse and doesn't like stare into them. It's like,
Okay. All right.
And keep me abreast of we would like to know what happened to Father. It's all right.
Would you like to roll rapport?
Yes. All right. A plus and a negative, and my static is 3.
Okay, so that is a 3. That is good. That is a good roll. And so he nods, considering that, and says, "Technically, it's council business, but when we know what happened, I'll make sure that you know too."
Yes, thank you. That would mean the world to my family and I.
Okay, fantastic.
You have other rounds to make. I don't mean to keep you at all.
I do, yeah. Your father was many things. Chaste man he was not.
Thank you. And then he when he leaves, Noctis shoots a glance at his twin, like, we should talk. He might have more information. So looking at Chad's just gonna like murder.
And Leah, I think you would where are you during all of this? Let me ask you that.
So she'll come in and like say hello to the like people that she like has to pass on the way to like hide in the kitchen and like help like Amalfia with putting together like the food that they're putting out. Because like while people are here, like the place that she would want to grieve her dad, she doesn't want people in. Like she doesn't want them in his study. Like it's probably locked right now, and like, you know, um, so she's in like the both. I don't have to necessarily receive people, and like this is not how I want to grieve him. So like I know I should be here, and like it's probably a good thing that like my siblings are here, but like I want to sort of get this part of it over with. So she's gonna be like helping put together the little like crudité whatever nonsense like before it goes out. And so if she saw any of you like in the immediate way like in, she would have kind of done the like, hi, but like, I'm ducking out of this. Not wanting to receive people's like well wishes, because
Yeah. You left Lexi to deal with that.
I mean, like when I came in, it looked like Lexi was holding court.
Yep.
So yeah, and she's the like legitimate kid, so it also sort of feels like okay, like it is her like right to do it if she wants to. Like being the one that counts as like the visible child. Like yeah, that's her right if she wants it.
Okay.
I would absolutely not talk to her mother though. Yeah.
So you are kind of hanging out, kind of hiding out in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Sounds like, and Amalthea is there, just kind of like bustling around and just churning out like enough food and drink to like feed an army, very casually. She is a very stocky but very like strong woman, and like as long as you have known her, she has looked exactly the same. She has this like iron gray hair that is always wrapped up in these 2 buns, like on sort of the top of her head, and she always dresses like in variations of kind of the same full sort of like petticoat, she dresses very old fashioned. But yeah, she has always been, very kind to you and very sweet. And honestly, maybe the only person that all of the uh, all of the Madigan children can say that about, including Ravenna on the few occasions that you interacted. Maybe when your mom brought you around to like torture your father, she would have to look after you, and she was always very nice and very kind. But she's presently very busy, and she seems to know exactly what it is you're trying to do, so she will put you to work
Yep.
as soon as you get in.
I like duck in and be like, I know apron, like, because before Dad really like paid a whole lot of attention to me as my mom declined, I imagine Amalthea made sure that like I was eating, like the things that he's considered to be like his duty in taking care of his kid, like she ended up actually being responsible for making sure that it happened. So like we always had what we needed to make sure that like, like the nurses got paid whatever that came and visited mom, but like, the fact that I had like dinner a lot of the time was probably because she actually did it. So even if we weren't like in Madigan Manor, I imagine she'd spent just as much time when I was younger in like our house as she did at Madigan Manor, like making sure that we had what we needed. So like she's not necessarily mom, but she probably feels more like grandma or auntie, like in the so yeah, it's like all right, no, I'm putting the apron on. I know, like
And
I don't want to
she'll
watch this
just
either.
yeah, she like brushes these like floured hands on the apron, and she says, "Get those scones out of the oven, dearie, before they burn."
Okay, got it. Yep.
And you said about cooking. I think you are very absorbed in your work for a while, and it's kind of a welcome reprieve. But as you are setting out some of the like clotted cream and jam for the scones, you suddenly have this wave of cold that kind of washes over you. Sort of feel yourself shiver involuntarily, and you see on the countertop in front of you, in the well-lit kitchen of Madigan Manor, a shadow fall over it, as if somebody is standing beside you, where no one was a second ago. When you look, there's indeed a man there. He's wearing a black suit with a black undershirt and a black tie. He is average height, not a very impressive build, and his skin is a very sort of unhealthy and sallow color. He has very sharp cheekbones, but there are pockmarks, like acne scars, on them. And he has very long black hair that is it's sort of draped over one shoulder. It almost blends in seamlessly with the suit and the shirt and the tie. They're almost exactly the same shade of black. But his eyes are, as you might expect, dark, and they are powerful and ancient. And they are uncomfortable to look into for too long.
Well met.
Leah Madigan.
Sir.
I will require your presence in your father's study.
Am I inclined to give it?
You will notice it was not a question. I am the arbiter of your father's will.
Should I gather the others?
Your siblings. Yes.
Yes.
This concerns them as well. They are mentioned. .
Okay. And she's like, with that, the word mentioned, that's like the little like sigh of like, shit. The and I'll like, because it's like I'm imagining this is like one of those old fashioned aprons that like it doesn't tie, it just like goes over yours. So like she'll like fold out of it and like, wipe her hands on a towel, and we'll be with you presently. If you need anything in the meantime to make yourself comfortable, I'm sure that Amalthea can help you. And
I have everything I need.
doubtless. And she'll like duck out of the like swinging door and backwards, like keeping an eye, and then find like doing the like scanning the crowd. She's going to see if she can find Noctis first. And like make eye contact with him and kind of do the like, like pointing, like there's only one room upstairs that we'd be going into, and like mouthing everybody.
Mhm.
It is always easy to find Noctis in a crowd.
Yeah. It's making sure that I can catch his eye while he's
Mhm.
currently leading the next person's therapy session. The and so from him, still like kind of seeing if I can get past. I'm gonna see if I can find where Ravenna is, and then like not like coming over and like touching, but but just like getting enough into like her personal space that she's gonna be aware that there's somebody like nearby.
It's also
I
very
don't
easy to
mean
find Ravenna in a crowd.
yeah. I don't I love your dress. The the there's an arbiter for the will. The study upstairs is locked, but I don't. Noctis is probably going to head up in a second. We're all supposed to head up there. I don't know if you want to, but he said we're all mentioned.
All,
Yeah.
myself included.
I don't think he would have minced words. The you'll see. He's a lot. The yeah. If you don't want to be up there, I will find a way to make sure that you get what you need. But we're gonna be up in the study. I'm gonna
Oh,
see if
no.
I can
Thank
find
you,
a
dear. That's the most interesting thing I've heard all evening. I'll certainly can't wait to hear what dear old dad had to say about me on his last words.
And she's gonna like really quick steal the appletini and like take like a sip of it and then give it right back. And you're like, oh, phew. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna see if I can get Lexi away from whoever that is. I don't. Chaz will follow Noctis, right? And
I can get Jazz in here. You take this, dear. It seems like you need it more than I do.
I don't. Okay. She's not gonna finish it. She's gonna like take another little sip and then put it to the side. Like that's more potent than I thought it was gonna be because it's lime green. And see if I can like to the side catch Lexi's eye. Like she doesn't want to interrupt that conversation with whoever the current like
Oh, yeah,
polite.
you're right. I am the one who didn't live up to either of their parents' potential. You're so right. That's me. This has been great. I'm so glad you couldn't make it, but I see my sister needs me
Such
over
big
there.
uncomfortable
So,
shoes.
so glad you couldn't make it. My dad was great. I need to. So good to see you. I just gotta.
Yeah,
I can see somebody saying like, "Well, we're very much in love, and we're going to get married soon. Maybe we'll hire you." You know.
Yeah, I love doing weddings. Absolutely look me up. I'm online. Know where to find me.
Sorry, Lexi, can I just
Yep, I just need to go. Right. You've been great.
And I'm gonna
just need to
clutch her elbow and just start dragging.
Masterful.
Apple TV swishing.
Takes the Apple TV, takes a swish, hands it back.
Before the end of the night,
Apple TV.
every Madigan will have drunk from the Apple TV.
It's gonna be horrible when Will turns out that was poisoned and we're all.
I would never.
You've killed my character enough times before, my sir.
As she takes a drink.
You got better.
So
I got
Leah
better.
would be like, we're going upstairs to the study. The dad's arbiter is here, and you might want to brace yourself.
Now? I thought they only did that in movies. The arbiter shows up to the funeral?
He showed up. Like
it's that urgent? Whatever, it's fine. Half of these people are a mess to talk to anyway.
Yeah,
sure.
No, I was hiding in
the can't be worse than dealing with this right now. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Leah's
fine.
gonna pull like a scone out of her pocket and be like, it's current if you
out of curiosity, do you know if all of Dad's kids are gonna be part of this?
Yeah, he said that all of us are mentioned.
Cool. Yeah, of course they should. Yeah, it's great. Yep, totally fine. I will.
I don't know
shortly.
I don't know what mentioned means.
But
I
will see you there shortly.
Okay.
Everything's fine, and I'm just so glad you could be here, and it's good to see you. And I will see you up in the room. Sure. I just gotta grab a drink. You know, it's been I've just been bouncing around talking to me. I could just use some. I could just.
Yeah, these are
be right there though. I will be right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she'll like back away slowly and then make her way up the stairs. like
I'm getting predator vibes from this.
Or like, this is about to explode. Yep. So yeah.
Lexi goes to the kitchen to grab herself a drink finally.
I think Amalthea like has one in her hands that she just like, you barely get the door open before she like hands it out to you.
Oh, Amalthea, it's so great. So good to see you. I wish I could. I am supposed to go up there, but I would love to like actually see you for a bit after this. So it is really good to see you though. I just need to. Great. And she's gonna take the drink, and like if Amalthea doesn't do anything, she's gonna go up to the room.
Amalthea just kind of like pats your shoulder and says, "We will talk, dearie. I'm very busy right now.
Of course,
very busy.
Of course, I understand." And she's gonna take her drink and go.
Yeah. Is Chaz picking up on what's going on, or is somebody getting?
Oh yeah, he's been watching the whole time.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. He
That's why I didn't remember grabbing you specifically. I was like, between Noctis and Chaz paying attention,
someone will get Chaz.
He always knows. He always knows.
So as everybody's finishing up, he like puts his arm around Leah's shoulder and is just kind of helping her up the stairs. He's like, "All right, we're good."
Yeah. I feel like Noctis will probably get in without a key, but I do have a key. I'm sorry. I really didn't want to be out in the crowd.
It's fair.
And Lexi was having some kind of moment, so I think she's going to get alcohol.
You go upstairs, and the door to the study is unlocked. When you get there, open the door, and inside, the first thing you notice about the room, all of you, is that it is cold. And it has never been cold in this room. There was always a fire roaring in the hearth and it was always
Earth. The hearth.
whatever. I've said it like
The
2 different
hair.
ways now.
Yes.
The
It's a hell
hair.
of a smell. Yeah.
Yeah. But now it is cold. It is empty. There is no fire roaring. Your father has an enormous desk in this room. It is like a boat of a desk and made out of some kind of wood that now that you are all older, you can't even begin to figure out what type it is. It doesn't look like any you've seen before. It doesn't look like mahogany or oak or anything like that. But it is ancient and solid, and it has kind of always been there. And standing to one side of it, there is that tall, well, he's a normal height. There's that man that I described before. The rest of the room is largely dominated by bookshelves that have been set into the wall, various, ancient and archaic tomes of lore. Your father's personal collection, like there is a library, but these are the books that he treasured and kept in his study. A drink cart, likewise, on the far wall, always with a few bottles of like scotch, brandy, the expensive stuff. Some crystal glasses.
Does this person come off as a threat? Or are they just ambivalent?
Would you like to roll awareness? I think.
Sure. Alertness? Yeah.
Yes, alertness. That's not the last time I'm going to do that. I always get this mixed up.
Totally fair. 4.
Great. That is great. He is not projecting intimidation or threatening you in any type of way. He appears very passive. There is a certain amount of like weight to his presence. You feel it when you walk into the room, and it's almost like it's almost like trying to press two magnets together, where you are kind of repelled. But you can overcome that and, step into the room. As you all arrive, he reaches down and he picks up a black bag. Kind of looks like an old-timey sort of doctor's bag, and sets it on the desk. And then he just kind of waits for the rest of you to arrive. And once you've all gathered, he says, "Excellent. We can begin."
And pray tell, what is your name, sir?
I am the Arbiter.
Is this like one of those wizard things? Like, should I ask my mother to be here just as a party to the actual wizard council level of?
That won't be necessary. Your mother is not mentioned.
Only
But
daughters.
we are, all of us?
The 5 of you. Yes.
Okay.
Is that not all of us?
He does not answer.
Okay. Where are manners? Do you need a drink, water, perhaps, or are you doing well?
I have everything I need. Thank you.
Great.
So no name, just a title. What manner of creature are you?
A title is so much more than just a name.
Like, Noctis kind of like grinds his teeth a little bit. He's like, sure. And like takes a seat and just like watches him.
I can roll either alertness or lore or whatever for this, but I'm suspecting he's a Winter Court member right now.
You can roll lore.
Okay. All right. Yay. I get to roll a thing. Da, 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 da. That's the wrong sheet. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna roll digitally, but I'll hold it up if we need to.
That is totally fine.
Okay. And it's always rolling 4 of them, right?
Yes, you always roll 4.
Okay. Great. 2 successes and 2 failures, so that's a 3.
Okay. 3 is not bad. 3 is more than adequate, I would say. And are you kind of how are you seeing this happening? Are you kind of vaguely extending wizard senses? Are you
So like a not like full on like shifting my vision to the sight, but like the sort of step below that where like I'm opening my senses to like, does this cold feel like fey cold, or does it feel like, you know, like an artificial, not a glamour, but like a mantle that like has been, some other magical, like just sort of testing for the flavor effectively.
Yeah. With a 3, I will tell you as you reach out that this is not a fae by any means. That you will not be able to tell what he is, but this is what you feel is something far older and more primordial than any fae you've ever encountered before. There is a vastness behind this presence, and as you do that, his eyes will sort of snap over to you, but his head won't move an inch, and he will say, "Don't do that. For your own good."
I got that. Yes. Sorry if I offended.
Well, everyone else is kind of doing their various investigation of some variety. I think while they were kind of initially talking, we're gonna go and started like pouring, because you said there was alcohol in the corner, like a card or something like that they keep. So she's just gonna start pouring glasses and like bringing them to their respective siblings as they're kind of having this tense moment. And then as she's doing this and like they all seem to get brushed off, she's just gonna take a second to stop and like get kind of close, not super close to him because he obviously has that vibe, but like kind of closer and focus in on him for a second and just kind of do like a look up and down and like appreciate the all black. So few people know how to commit to a color these days, and just try and poke a little bit of like mojo his way to see if there's any sort of response or if it's basically just passing right over him.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because it almost feels void. It almost feels like emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
You get that same sense of cold, but in this case, it is more metaphorical.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, when people act cold, there is something bubbling under the surface. There's something else there, like, anger or pettiness or something like that. But in this case, there is just nothing.
Gotcha.
The old void shoulder,
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm also curious, do every one of my siblings accept the drink I bring them?
That's a great question.
I feel like Ravenna probably knows that, like, I'm not actually going to drink anything after that, like, long swallow of the appletini. So I'm assuming it's like a ginger ale or something, in which case, yes, she will absolutely take it. Thank you.
I think she pours, like, she stands where not everyone can see what she's pouring into the various things. Like, she's just kind of doing it off to the side. But when she brings you yours, she kind of leans in a little bit and it's like, don't worry, dear, it's all mixers.
Noctis and Chaz, do you accept the drink?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I already gave her one.
Noctis looks down. He's like, "Oh, appletini." And his is probably red. So
The official Madigan drink of choice.
of course,
Is it a caramel appletini? I feel like
Oh,
that's like
absolutely.
thematically.
Of course.
Ah,
The autumn variant.
yes. Honey
Spiked
crisp.
appletini.
Yes.
yeah,
Lexi.
I think when Ravenna brings the drink, there's that moment of like the instinctual, like, what? And then she like glazes that over with a smile and goes, "Thank you, you're too kind," and just accepts the drink.
I think Ravenna just nods and then goes back to her seat.
I will need you. Scratch that. He says, the figure, the man, said the arbiter, says, "Can we begin?"
Of course, please, by all means. We're all here to find out what it is you need from us, so please let us know.
Before I impart what is owed, you must speak your names. Your true names.
Noctis like says, "Wait a second," and he stands up and he's just like, "You must speak yours as well, sir, or this is not a compact." And he's like, if anybody speaks up, he like holds out a finger, like kind of like protectively. He's like, "You start first. It only makes sense if you're going to begin this compact."
If I were to speak my true name within earshot of you, you would still be drooling on this floor 1,000 years from now.
Noctis takes a step back and it just says, "You give us your word that that will not happen then, and we will be protected from any kind of fell forces that you command. Do you promise?"
swear it.
And he like waits for. Sorry.
Yeah. He says, he nods and says, "I swear it by the compact."
All right.
You feel
He
the
looks
weight.
to, like his siblings and like with a little bit of like nervousness, but like relief, and kind of like feels like that.
When he cites the compact, you feel the weight of it, like there are shackles settling around him.
Mm-hmm. Noctis kind of like warily kind of like takes a breath and he says, "I am Noctis Duskfell Madigan." Kind of like rolls his eyes, and he says, "I am the last lord of the Autumn Court."
He nods, accepting it, but he pauses for a second.
Oh, what a day!
Hey.
What a lovely day!
Thank you so much for the raid, Goblin Cave TV. We are coming to the end, but we just got a little bit left to go. I hope you had a good stream. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy. He will pause for a second, and he will say, "That is your true name. You need not add Madigan."
He repeats himself. "I am Lord Noctis Duskfell, last lord of the Autumn Court." And like, I'm sure like a weird release of tension kind of floats over the room like mist. So
He would turn to Chaz next. I think you're muted,
hon.
Chris.
Chaz Madigan.
He will accept it. He nods. And then Lexi.
Alexandra, Valura, Cersei, Aradia, Madigan.
He looks at Ravenna.
Ravenna, Wraith.
He nods without hesitation, and he looks at Leah.
Orally, Winifred, Honora, Divsha, Madigan.
And the compact is sealed. Arbitration can begin.
What does that mean? Sorry, what does that mean? Is this like a wizard thing? I haven't, what arbitration?
I am to deliver to the 5 of you what your father left for you in death.
That's like normal stuff, like property or a house. This isn't like some weird magic thing, right? Right?
That is not my jurisdiction.
How long ago did he set this up?
I'm curious about the same thing.
Well, it's the 5 of us, so it can't have been longer ago than when Leah appeared on the scene.
He will reach over to the bag that he set on the desk and open it up. He'll reach inside and he will extract from inside of it a log. He will take it in his hands.
Like a log or like a wood?
Like a wood log.
For the hearth, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Cog.
He will set it down on the desk, standing straight up, and close the bag, take it in his hands, and say, arbitration is complete. You are given what you are owed.
The book?
There's no book. The piece of
tree
wood.
log. Tree
Yeah.
log.
It's a literal log.
It's a literal log.
Real?
Yeah.
I thought we were joking. I thought we were
No.
having a gas.
Nope.
We
It
were.
is literally,
Leah
literally a piece
is
of wood.
immediately going to start crying, like as this is put out on the desk, like just immediate like waterworks.
And he kind of looks at Leah with like a neutral expression, disinterested, and says, my role is done.
So,
And he starts walking for the door.
I'm sorry, wait, nothing about like the house or like any of those usual things that like people do when they die? I literally don't even like mean it as like I'm looking for. I'm just very confused right now. Is this like a supernatural thing?
He will pause at that and he will glance over at the desk where the log is still sitting and he will say, is that not enough?
Does it look like the same kind of mystery wood as the desk itself?
It kind of does.
I mean, Lexi's gonna go over and like start to look at it and like hope that it like actually answers some questions she has in her mind.
I think Noctis goes over and like the child fell down kind of like energy, and he like it puts his hands on Leia if he if she allows him to.
Yeah.
Lexi or Leia?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lexi. Sorry about that.
I'm Lexi.
Not Lexi.
And it's Leah, not
Leia,
Leia.
who was trying. Who's trying.
And it's a hearth,
Yeah,
not a
who's
hearth.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. No, he goes over to Leah and says, "Oh, Leah, they're
I think
there."
you got it backwards again.
No.
No, you got it right this
did mean
time.
Leia.
You don't understand.
I don't.
Right before he was looking at the fire, and he was talking about its legacy and the splintered pieces of wood, and like that the last thing that it was gonna be was warmth and light, and that he thought that that was gonna be the end. And I don't know if that means we're supposed to split it, but like, and I thought he was
Maybe.
fine. I thought he was asleep.
Oh, we don't have to do it right now. And he like produces like an orange handkerchief and like gives it to you.
It was right before. And I'd never seen him like that, and he smiled at me, and it was so weird. And if he said that he was scattered, so are we supposed to scatter the log?
We don't have to do anything yet. We have time.
I don't understand. He's never been like that.
Hey, we'll be honest, I don't think I do understand.
He didn't even
You
want to
can
do a
help us.
lesson.
That is unusual for him.
Well, they're having this conversation. Lexi's absolutely inspecting the log.
Yeah. 100%. How are you doing that? Are you just kind of physically looking at it? You doing something
For her,
weird?
yes. She's just like, to start, physical inspection of the
Okay.
log.
All right. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. To all appearances, it is just a piece of firewood.
If that's, then she is going to turn on her sight.
Yeah, you are. Fantastic. All right. So that gets a little bit complicated because there's a lot that goes into the site. Actually need to, excuse me. Actually need to pull that up real quick, but we will try to get through this. Okay.
I suspect I may have solved your log puzzle, but I also don't think Ravenna would be the one to have solved your log puzzle. So I'm going to wait to see how this plays out, and we'll make suggestions as we go.
Fair enough. Just takes an action to open the site. So you open the site and you gain what you are looking at changes. There is in the physical world just a piece of wood, a piece of firewood sitting here on your father's desk. But when you look at it, it is a bunch of different things superimposed on top of each other. It's very strange looking at it. It's almost like looking at a 3D rendered object that is constantly in flux, constantly changing and taking on different shapes. And you can make out a few of those shapes in there. You can see the one that would stand out to you the most, the one that you would recognize the most, is a camera that you wanted when you were a kid. Maybe the first camera you ever wanted. But you never got. And you can see other things like coming and going. You see very briefly the countenance of a very beautiful woman appear, almost inhumanly beautiful. You can see two featureless physical bodies hugging each other. You see a gnarled wizard staff, and you see a tree with leaves gently falling. none of this is painful or dangerous. The only other real sense you get from this as you open your sight is a feeling of warmth that feels very alien in this cold room without the fire burning, in direct contrast to the being that just left after setting this down. How long are you leaving your sight open, looking at this thing?
If that all sort of comes in, and like assuming it's like a sort of a rush of images that like all hit her pretty one after the other, I would say she shuts it down pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then almost without meaning to, she sort of just like grips the desk and be like, of course you did a wizard riddle. And then just like looks up and goes like, there's something in there. It doesn't make sense to me.
The good news about the site is that it's baked in that you can, after you close it, you can make a lore roll to try to understand what it is you saw.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. Not my best trait, but not my worst. That's a very nice roll. Oh, that's all positives on that roll. So I just got a 6 on lore. I understand the
Nice.
fuck out of that image.
You do. Yeah, you absolutely do.
Nice.
Contained within this object, and this is a metaphor, keep in mind, but contained
What's a
within
metaphor?
this for sheep to graze in. Contained within this piece of wood is everything your father ever wanted to give you. All of you, simultaneously.
I don't like that. but Lexi is like, oh, that's so touching. And she tries to explain that in words. It's like this is what he wanted us to have, and she starts trying to explain her visions, but it's like, oh, she doesn't actually understand who or what. Like it's a camera when I was a kid, but like I don't want that camera as an adult. So I'm not entirely sure what like he actually meant. Like it's sweet that he remembers the thing I wanted as a kid that he like refused to get me, and like so it's like all this time. It's, but I don't want it anymore. But like I guess that's sweet. But then there's these other things. So like I don't know exactly what it is he's trying to give us, but like it's there. The good intentions are there, I think.
That
I mean, to be honest, having his
That's
final
all
gift
that's all I got from it.
to be honest, having his final gift being telling all of us that he knew what we always wanted all along and didn't give it to us, but still remembers, does feel somewhat on brand.
Yeah,
It's the thought
that's on
that
brand.
counts.
It doesn't.
go. What did you say, Chaz?
I said, does it? I mean, that is very on brand for him, and hugely unsurprising. Didn't you say it's kind of cold in here? Like there's nothing burning in the hearth? I'm just saying, as a quiet
Feel super warm
aside.
if you like tune into the log. The log is great. There's a lot of warmth coming from the log.
I actually think we might need to burn it.
Wait, no, what?
He said that he thought that was in the end all he was gonna give, like that in the end that he was just gonna be warmth and light, and like
That would be different for him.
if it's in. I said he smiled.
Okay, but I like looked at
in
it
the
with the
log.
sight. and I saw things. So like I don't know that we need to like burn it to see or see the things.
Well,
Are we supposed to see them or are we supposed to have them?
I don't know how you would get things from this. It's just
I think we need to.
It's a stick.
Yeah,
Do we split it?
Well, also there was a comment about that, about how he thought that his parts of his life were scattered. So like unless there's a tree, like unless this is part of a tree.
Now you said it's a full ass log, like it's not like splintered wood.
Yeah, not splintered, solid log, bark on and everything. Leah, I will say also though that as you are the most recent, to be apprenticed and undergo wizard training, you would know that the visions that you get from the sight are metaphorical. They are not literal. So whatever this thing contains, it does not contain,
it doesn't have a camera
objects.
in it.
There's a camera in there.
I meant like, sorry, I didn't mean like it's gonna like spring out of
Yeah.
the log. I mean like the like next piece of giving us whatever we have to do is in the log.
I will say that.
So unless we have to assemble the tree, which would be
obviously we're not trying to rebuild a tree. I'm just saying there might be something more to examine about this before we just destroy it.
If it's our inheritance, I have no problem chopping it into 5 pieces, and I know where my piece is going.
A warm fire around which to have drinks will be more than he ever gave me the rest of my life. So, sounds lovely.
I think that's what he said.
Well, I will admit that before he passed, he did reach out to me, and he seemed to want to make conversation. And I pushed him away because, he like goes like this to everybody. I regret that I didn't entertain him and whatever thoughts he had in that old head of his. But he did seem to be attempting to be warm. So I think Leah has a point. There may be.
He was staring into the fire and he was talking about his legacy, and then he thinks that he's scattered and that the only thing in the end that he's going to provide is warmth and light. I mean, unless it's like a snow globe, what are we going to keep the log for?
Make a much smaller desk.
I just don't want to destroy the last thing we have from Dad unless we're sure about what we're doing.
I mean, we could try some
Hey, friends.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd like to put an offer on the table.
You'd like to what?
Put an offer on the table.
Okay.
Chris,
fate point?
Yes.
I will give you 1 shiny fate point if you do it yourself.
Oh!
I was legitimately waiting for that. Fine, I'll do it myself.
It's enough talking. You don't really care about this log anyway. Just burn it.
No, the problem is that he would want to split it first.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. This is yes.
Is there an axe in here anywhere?
Or there's a letter opener in that goddamn desk, I bet.
Do you ask for an axe?
Also, how do you not have knives on you? You have knives.
I've got knives on me, but I have super speed, not super strength.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here all day.
You don't need strength if you do it at enough speed. That's how force works.
Noctis is like.
Okay, but the thing is, where they offer you a fate point, the only way you don't do what they tell you is if you offer a fate point in return.
No, I'm going to leave the room for a minute and get an axe and come back while you all are still talking.
That's fine. I can keep arguing with everybody else because I'm
Leah wants to put it in
wants
to do a fire.
I will say this. I will put this on the table, and I know Joe, you're trying to say something. But I will put it on the table. Whatever happens first is fine. I will give you the fate point if you set it on fire.
Okay. That's
If you want to
yeah.
split it first, totally fine. Totally on board with that.
Chaz's plan would be to split it because each person is entitled to do with their chunk of log whatever they want. But his chunk is going in the fireplace.
Cool. Joe, do you have?
Oh, if his brother is going for an axe and he's mentioned it, he says, "I can make you an axe."
Okay. Like, hey, Noctis, you got an axe?
Wait, what do we need an axe for? Wait, we haven't finished discussing this. What are you doing?
Powers of all.
Yeah.
Like, if it's breezy in there.
You can do some channeling, right? Like if we wanted to get some knowledge out of it, we could set up a ritual, but that takes time.
No, I can't. I can't do that. You know that's why Dad always liked you better. You can do that stuff. I can't do that.
You can. That's the stuff that you can do. That's it takes time and it takes discipline.
No,
you are good at that. It's not the flashy fast stuff. This would be like we plan it and like you can use books and like it's and you're the one who saw what the log was in the start.
Out of character, my character, like, I can't do the ritual side of things. I can do the cheap version of the immediate side of things.
Okay. Well, then maybe Leah's just assuming because the thing that she's mad at is the ritual stuff.
And I figured, I was like, we can play that off as like, you just like don't remember what it is my character can do. But I just want to make sure before you argue too long that we were like confident about like what you.
Leah assumes that like the thing that Lexi can do is the stuff that she's bad at because she's never seen you do anything really flashy. So she's like assuming that means that your magic has to be the like slower planned kind rather than the like.
Fair.
Fast evocation.
Fair. But just, okay, so establishing that, Lexi is saying, be like, no, I can't. I'm not, I can't do that.
And we'd be doing it together anyway. Like if you want more information, then like that wouldn't hurt it.
They're going to destroy it. We need to like.
I'm gonna interject because while you two are arguing with each other, a bunch of things are happening in the background, and I think what pulls you out of your argument is the distinctive sound of an axe blade hitting wood.
Yeah.
But I want to establish a few things first.
Can we describe the axe?
Yes, that is what I want to establish first.
Collectively, Noctis, like out of his long jacket, pulls like a large lantern, and like starts spinning it, and like light starts billowing out of it, and like, he talks about like pulling the nightmares from like the dreams of the living, and starts creating an axe out of like shadow stuff that is like cast out of the lantern. I'm imagining, so I'll go first. I'm imagining the blade is black and the wood is too. So what else does it look like?
Probably half moon, I would say, stay on brand.
Nice.
I dig that.
Okay. I was just curious. I do not take it off the desk before trying it.
I like the idea of everybody contributing a detail to this, though. Does anybody else have a thought for what this axe has going on? Yes.
I don't know, cat.
You do have a cat. So in like the metal is black, but like etched into it. So like you can't necessarily see it when you're like looking straight on, but when it's at an angle, you can see like it doesn't change the color. It's just like a texture in the actual metal. There's a like gnarled tree design so that as the axe blade spreads out, so do the branches of the tree. So like the trunk of the tree and the roots of the tree are like towards the actual like haft, and then the branches like spread out along the metal. So that like the sharpened edge of the blade is where some of the like last bits of gnarled branches reach their very, very tips.
Extremely cool. Liz, do you have a thought about the axe?
I was also gonna kind of grow the engraved route, but on the like actual haft of the axe itself, like the handle, but with like just imprints of leaves, like falling leaves all the way around, wrapping around the handle.
Rouge?
I would say the final, like, as the axe falls, because assuming it's going to get used, there is an aspect where as it like starts to head towards its target, light flashes from it in a way that is almost like a sunset, where it's like goes through the lights that are as you go towards dusk, of like that fiery orange red into purple into like that navy blue as it hits the thing.
The falling axe blade is the setting sun. Beautiful. Love it.
Mhm.
That's so nice.
Incredible.
We so cool, guys.
If you wanted me to roll for it, I got a 5 total. So.
That is plenty, and you would have to mark a mental stress, but that would disappear at the end of the scene anyway, and we're almost done, so don't stress about it.
Don't stress about that stress.
Chaz, you there's an axe now on the table, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And are you gonna earn that fate point?
Yeah, no, I chopped that wood, and like I said, I rolled because I was curious what he would do. He does not take it off of the desk before chopping it.
Makes sense.
He just takes a swing with that
Dad's
axe.
desk. Got it.
Makes sense.
Don't really care.
Love
It's where the arbiter put it. It's where I wanted to be.
The distinctive thunk of the axe biting into the wood of the desk is what jerks you two out of your argument. The axe blade barely touches the log before it splits perfectly into 5 parts. But
very handy.
Then it thunks blade first into the desk underneath it, sinking in like probably a good couple of inches.
Nice.
Oh, I knew
If I
it.
grab one at random, is it obvious whose is whose, or they just look like the chunks of wood?
They look identical.
Okay, then I'm just going to grab one.
Feel warm?
And I'm going to put it in the fireplace and light it.
Fantastic.
I walk up, grab mine, follow soon behind, and chunk it in there.
Yeah,
We're
Leah
going to
will
do this
that.
one at a time. So, Shaz, when you walk up and throw yours into the fireplace, you, I think, start like looking around for matches or something to start the fire. But the second it hits the hearth, it starts to burn. It ignites. And it's giving off these like golden sparks.
Won't even give you the satisfaction of lighting it.
It's true.
All right. If I look into the fire, do I see anything?
Just, it is like a golden flame currently, and it is giving off sparks that are kind of almost moving around like fireflies, but they're not doing anything active at the moment. Is Ravenna chucking hers in next, Liz, you said?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you throw yours in, the flame ignites again. It grows stronger, grows brighter, and there are more of those sparks, and you can see them kind of swirling around within the flame, almost like sand grains, kind of like grouping together and half forming something and then falling apart before it can fully form.
Yeah, Leah's gonna go over to the desk and grab one, and this is a weird death curse, Dad. And throw it into the heart.
The flames grow brighter, and they take on a slightly different hue. There's now variation within the flame, shadows and brighter spots. Yeah. 2 pieces remain on the desk.
Yeah. Noctis takes his piece and like tosses it in after Leah.
Absolutely. Now there are contours, and the flame is nearly roaring, nearly what it always was when any of you were ever in this study before. But it is still not quite there yet. You can tell.
Lexi reaches out and clutches the last piece to her and just looks at everyone and goes, "This is the last thing we have from Dad."
But it's not. Like, don't you see it's not the last thing?
And she's just going to look one last time with the sight at this one final piece of the log that she's holding.
I'm not going to make you roll for it because the effect is so diminished now that you have 1/5 of it. The only thing you feel from it at this moment is the warmth. When you look at it with your sight, it doesn't look all that unusual. It just feels warm. Just feels nice.
And that's the piece I'm holding, not the rest of the stuff in the fire.
Yes, that is what you get from the piece you are holding in your hands.
And if I look at the fireplace, what do I see?
If you look at the fireplace with your sight, you see more. If you look at the fireplace with your sight, you see something forming in the flames. You can tell that it is person-shaped. It looks like a person, and it's like forming and falling apart and forming and falling apart over and over again without being complete. And I think somehow using your sight, you know this is your father.
Did I give that bastard the chance to get the last word?
She's just going to say, "Dad," as she like haltingly steps forward and sort of just like lets the final piece tumble out of her hand into the fire.
The flame roars and grows taller, and those sparks that you have seen trying to form something and not quite being able to do it coalesce purposefully as you watch, and standing in this enormous hearth.
Also, as like the first flare up from like after she drops it, she has to like shield and like turn off her sight. So now she's seeing without sight. Just
Absolutely. It has always occurred to you, I think, that all of you, that the hearth is big enough for a man to stand in. And that is exactly what is happening. You see your father standing there. He is a shade of himself. He is not solid. And he is made of that golden fire with all of the contours and variations, dark bits and light bits that you saw as you added your pieces. And his expression looks sad, heartbroken, really. But he smiles. And for everybody except Leah, probably the first time you've ever seen your father smile. It's a shame he had to die first. And when he speaks, there's a crackle behind his voice, like firewood burning. But it's unmistakably his voice. He says, "My children." And that is where we're going to end this episode of the Madigans.
Chaz is digging through the drink cart looking for marshmallows.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. All right. Hell yeah, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this first session. I hope y'all had fun. I had a blast. And I'm looking forward to 2 weeks from now when we get to do it again. So we will quickly run through some plugs and things like that, and we will call it a night, sign off. If you got something you want to push out there to whoever's still watching, this is the time to do it. I will go first, and then we will move on from there. Hello, my name is Will. I have been running this game. I'm one of the storytellers and the organizers here at Live from the Apocalypse, and most of the things that I do on the internet can be found here. There's a social media handle below me, but if you're not already following the channel, please do that. And if you want, you can join the Discord community.
Rip it, baby.
Hey.
Slop that down, dude.
Yay.
Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
Crack one for the big boys, indeed. Thank you so much for the donation. Yeah, if you're not in the Discord, feel free to join it. It's a great place full of great people. We would love to have you be there. We have a lot of fun. Come back on Tuesday for class reunion, the 5e homebrew that I run, which is about a group of high school students from Ohio who have been trapped in a fantasy world for 10 years. It is getting increasingly more gay with every session. That's not an exaggeration. That's just true.
Escape 2, it is Ohio.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. That is all we got going on. Academy H is available on your podcast platform of choice. Cryptic Community College is available on your podcast platform of choice. That's the Live from the Apocalypse stuff. That's the me stuff. Joe.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Joe Gates. How's it going? I have a live show coming up. It's the first one in a little bit. If you are in the Philadelphia area and you want to come see live improv, things made up completely on the spot, you can come see my team, and we're going to be performing at Philly Improv Theater at 8 p.m. That's like right off of Rittenhouse Park, if you know where you're going in Philadelphia. If not, you can look at my Instagram, comedy show Gates, like a Gates, and I will put more information in there. And you can come see a live show. We will make up things on the fly. You will laugh. And I might do a crazy character or two as we do makeups. So please come. And if not, I'll tell you all about it later. So see ya.
Absolutely. Liz.
Hi again, I'm Liz. You can catch me besides this, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. I will be in Missing Numbers, our Pokemon actual play that Will is also in. And then I changed my mind in the last 4 hours. I am going to announce it. So on the 29th, we will be doing a one-shot called Transhumanism. It is for the week of Trans Day of Visibility and the Trans Day of Vengeance marches in DC. And it is going to be played using Cyborg and my own game Wolves at the Gate, and it is about body mod advocates trying to stop anti-body mod legislation by doing whatever is necessary. And if you've read Cyborg, you know that it'll probably be very aggressive action. And we will be raising money for a specific charity different from our usual one to helpfully aid with fighting the anti-trans legislation that's being passed across the country. So please tune in and support that. It is very important to me and everyone who's involved in it. And yeah, really excited about it.
Very excited for that. Rouge.
Ooh. For once I actually have something. I am going to be playing in a one-shot this Wednesday with Guild Superior. We are going to be playing the Morkborg setting. I'm expecting to die. That's just kind of the vibes I've gotten from this setting so far. But, like, it'll probably be fun before/after I do. So, like, tune in over on Guild Superior. Otherwise, obviously, I'm always here every other Sunday. And then you can also just find my musical tunings online. Anywhere you listen to music with, I am part of the Not Safe for Work adult comedy acapella band, The Misbehaving Maidens. There is no G. It's up to you to find the G spot. La la la.
That is very good. I've actually somehow never heard that before. Don't know why. Vicky.
I don't have anything other than this to plug on the internet. But thank you for the offer. I will say Happy Pi Day on Tuesday, because some of us nerds will be doing stuff with our many non-children children. And that's all I got. Happy Pi Day, nerds. Love you. Yes.
Honestly, that deserves its own thing. And
Yeah.
Chris, if you want to plug something, feel free. If not, you can just say goodnight.
Thank you all for watching. Don't have anything. Join the Discord. It's all just tattoo pictures and pets. I do stream to raise money for Extra Life for children's hospitals, and I'm going to be probably playing some MechWarrior Online soon, and that'll pop up in the Discord. So join us there.
Boom.
Hell yes. All right. On that note, we're going to call it a night here live from the apocalypse, but don't go away. We're going to raid our friends at the Forgotten Troop who are streaming Masks, which is the same system that our Academy H podcast uses. Mask is great. Come along for the ride. Say hi. There are 2 raid messages in the chat. If you happen to be subscribed, you can copy paste the first one. It only posted 1. That's cool. Okay, we're only doing that tonight. Everybody's the raccoon tonight. Copy paste that if you want to come along.
Trash
We're all-
pandas for
We're all
all.
raccoons here.
Be the trash panda you want to see in the world.
Mhm.
Truer words never spoken. Come along for the ride. But on that note, we are going to say good night. Say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
Everybody.
everybody.
Good night.